I finished my delicious oatmeal, and that brings us to the delicious recap. Delicious, here it is. I have no idea when you're going to hear this. Hopefully it's close to or around Christmas time because we're doing a Christmas episode. I'm Jon Francois, Andrew, Ajay, Vandertunt. Are you anybody this week or are you just yourself?
I'm debating who I'm going to be. So I was either going to be the Muffin Man.
Oh, yeah. Because he like the gingerbread man. He's like kind of a Christmas themed character.
I didn't go there with it. Um,
Okay.
there's, there's a scene in the episode that reminds me of the movie Shrek. And I was like, ooh, I could be the Muffin Man.
Yeah, I mean, is there any better source of comfort food from this terrifying world that we live in?
You know what? You are right. There is something very comforting about Family Matters. It does make you feel good because it makes you feel like everything's okay in the world. Like everything is okay.
As long as I have my Winslows on my Hulu and on my Instagram clips, and then I will survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? For you, if you are loving all the episode recaps and interviews that you've been listening to so far and watching on Spotify, we appreciate that. But how about getting them earlier than the general public? That's where our Patreon comes in. Patreon.com/delicious recap. You get all the episode recaps and interviews earlier than the general public does. So for just $5 a month, why not join? You know, we're recapping a Christmas episode. If you have not gotten the Christmas present that you're desiring, or you think you won't, depending on when this episode airs, this is a Christmas present right here.
Yes. Your Christmas present is listening to us. We are amazing. We are beautiful Black people, and you're just getting a chance to hear our beautiful voices. So why not contribute to the greatness of Christmas and donate $5 to Jesus? That's what? What?
I see your connection. Jesus was Black. We're Black people. I think we're like the twin Black Jesuses, or Jesus I.
We can go with that. I can go with that a lot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, dear listener/viewer, you probably have heard us review how our rating system and Michelin star system work. Andrew, I want to get your opinion on this. What do you think about no longer explaining it? Because it's kind of becoming tedious to me every single episode. I feel like at this point, if you don't know what it is, then go back and listen to previous episodes. You'll figure it out.
That sums it up right away. That's the perfect sum up. If you don't know what the stars and stuff are by now, that's your fault.
Exactly. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's very easy to understand. I still love you guys. I love you very much. You're very loved. You're beautiful people. But just go back and listen to the previous episodes and you'll understand.
All right, we're doing Family Matters Season 2, Episode 13, Have Yourself a Merry Winslow Christmas. The original air date was December 21st, 1990. It was written by David W. Duclon. Our lovely Rich Correll comes back into the director's chair for this one. Guest stars Ellen Albertini Doe as Mrs. Ferguson, that overly eager turned Black Friday nightmare old lady at the department store behind Carl. Interesting trivia, Andrew. If you remember, she was in the season 1 episode, The Big Reunion. She was Miss Gilbert.
She was. And she didn't recognize Carl in this episode. So I think Miss Gilbert stopped her teaching because she lost her mind.
I would love if she was the same character. I think she's a completely different, I mean, Mrs. Ferguson, Miss Gilbert. So yes, she's a different character in this episode that we're about to recap. Now we're going to see Ellen Albertini Doe in a couple more season 5 episodes, or a couple of episodes in season 5 rather. And she'll play elderly lady and some other character name that I can't remember. But look at the life on this woman, Andrew. Ellen Albertini Doe, born in 1913. She passed away in 2015. She lived 102 years. When this episode of Family Matters was on the air, I think she was in her 80s, and she managed to live like another 25 years.
All right. Acting keeps you young.
I hope so. That or crack. I don't know. You pick. Isn't that the irony? Crack keeps you young.
Crack is whack, okay? We've made a lot of crack jokes, y'all. Crack is whack.
Thank you, Whitney. Thank you, Whitney Houston. I appreciate that. Peggy Mannix is the customer, just identified as customer on IMDb, but that's the first customer in line before Carl gets his Freddie Teddy. Gabriel, I think it's Gabriel if it's a boy. Gabriel Polino is the department store clerk. Our IMDb synopsis, because the Hulu synopsis wasn't much better. And honestly, this IMDb synopsis is not that great either, but it's what we got. Urkel's parents decide to leave him home alone for Christmas. The Winslows decide to extend some holiday spirit and invite their nerdy neighbor over on Christmas Eve. Everyone is shocked to learn Urkel still believes in Santa Claus. But who was it that delivered that Freddy Teddy that Richie's been wanting? Ooh.
Oh, that's so cute. I mean, I have a lot of feelings about Santa Claus. I think it's offensive, but ooh.
Wait. You think your feelings about Santa Claus are offensive, or do you think
No, I think
like the
I think Santa Claus is offensive.
why?
Who believes that an obese white man is breaking into homes and leaving items?
You have a good point because he's an obese white man. He would probably rather, sit on a couch, eat his Lays, and watch NASCAR or the Yankees or football or whatever. That's a lot of work to ask an obese white man, hey, can you deliver presents to all the children in the world in one night? I mean, try to get him to do something physical for 1 hour.
Exactly.
All right, let's dive into it. We start our cold open in the living room. Andrew, you always say for every cold open that we recap, this is the best cold open ever. I got to say, this was a really good cold open. I loved how concise it was. I loved how it got to the punchline like pretty quickly and effectively. I loved the punchline that it got to. Again, Rich Carell directing combined with David Duclain writing. I think there was just some synchronicity where they thought, you know what, let's open this episode with a very boom, bang, boom. Let's get to the point. Let's do it. We're ready to go. No?
No, I kind of just glitched. I forgot what I was gonna say. But this cold open, I like that we established that it's supposed to be a snowy winter day. And because I'm going to come back to that multiple times throughout this recap.
So we get that exterior scene in the beginning of scene 1, if I remember correctly. This cold open, so first off, we start with no usual upbeat Family Matters-esque theme music. We start with the Jingle Bells, and Laura is singing along to like, Walking in the Winter Wonderland. And then you have like Rachel, Judy, Harriet, and Laura with their ugly Christmas sweaters on, and they're doing all the decorations in the living room. Now, what was up with Carl and Eddie not being in the holiday spirit in this? Do you remember when Carl, he had his blue Cosby sweater on? Eddie had, hold on for another racist comment relating to your necklace, his tribal African Cosby sweater on. Carl's reading a newspaper on the couch. Eddie's doing whatever he's doing behind the center couch. Why is the rest of the family all dressed up in their ugly sweaters and decorating, and Carl and Eddie are just like the bah humbugs that are not dressed up and not participating? Is it feeding into this idea that men, it's not manly to acknowledge that you like Christmas?
Well, I think, and this is what established it being a cold winter day for me, Eddie and Carl have on snow boots. So I think the assumption is supposed to be that they were outside getting the house ready and came in to warm up. But the way it plays, it looks like they're like, bah humbug, but Christmas, we're not doing this.
Okay. I don't know why. I mean, they seem like they would be down. Well, I mean, Eddie, I could see Eddie because he's, that's like a teenage boy thing. Like, oh, this is so lame. I feel like he would have that kind of energy. But Carl, I feel like Carl would be the perfect dad to just get into the Christmas spirit. So I was very confused by that. Speaking of the winter boots, I will say when I saw Steve and Eddie, and I guess Carl too, wearing the winter boots throughout in the house, I thought that maybe the Winslow home is not well heated enough. Because if it were me and I was in a well heated home with winter boots on, my feet would be just a burnt crisp. They would be roasting.
I was thinking the same thing. My feet would be so soaking wet from being in boots all day. I would be like, what? And when you're wearing an ugly Christmas sweater, because I love a good ugly sweater, you're warm and toasty. So I imagine that everybody else would have on really thick, warm socks, so you don't need boots on. But maybe it's really cold in the Winslow house.
They got very thin summer ankle socks under those winter boots. And I've seen people do that. I think maybe white people who have thought that really thin ankle socks with thick winter boots is a great mixture. And maybe it is, I guess, for balancing body temperature, but nah, got to wear the thick winter socks.
Yeah, I wear my mountain socks. I've got mountain socks on right now. I don't play. As soon as it gets cold, my feet are layered in layers of fabric because I hate cold feet.
Yeah, Yeah, me too. I mean, I got a foot warmer. I got my thick winter socks. I am so happy whenever I get to put those on, such as lately when it's been kind of cool here in Vermont where I live. I got my hood over my head. I got my hoodie on. I got my sweats. It's great. It's great. I mean, I like warm weather, but if there's something that I like about the cold weather time of year, it's just being able to put all these comfortable layers on.
Yes, I love putting on layers. I feel like Ashley Simpson. No, not Ashley Simpson. Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. Are they the Olsen twins?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait, what did they have to do with comfortable layers?
Because they always dress in layers. If you ever see them, they always have on layers. They've got on ponchos, long shirts, sweatpants, with they dress in layers. And I love layers. I love hobo chic. Like, put on the most clothes you can.
Okay, I'm down with that. All right, so in this cold open, Laura, like, and the rest of the family, like I think it was Laura that was telling the rest of the family, like, oh my God, we're in a good mood. We're so excited because the Urkel family is not home for 2 weeks. And right away, you should know not to say something like that because you're jinxing yourself. Of course, Steve is gonna walk in. He's got his mistletoe attached to a wire behind his back. The mistletoe is over his head. So you know that he's gonna be ready for a creepy kiss to Laura. If they had not said that the Urkel family is away, maybe they would have actually been away.
Right? They should just been quiet about it because Santa will hear you. He will know what's happening. He will send your worst enemy over. I loved that they were singing Walking in a Winter Wonderland.
Yeah.
While this is all occurring. And I just like, oh my God, you are fucking yourself, Laura. Do not say that.
Walking in a winter wonderland, and now we're getting fucked over in the land of creepy Urkels. Right. Anyway, I did think, speaking of their singing, very funny though, because remember, like, walking in a winter wonderland, and then when Steve comes in, walking in a winter wonderland, like the singing goes from like cheery to just very bummed out by the Winslow family.
So Winslow, you know what? I hope somebody for the Winslow Christmas, they got them a door lock. That way you can stay out loud.
Nah, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I mean, it's either have a door lock and have a boring show for the next 9 years, or don't have a door lock and have a funny show, but also a show that gives you a headache with science machines, Stefan, Bruce Lee, all that stuff. And to your point, the snow that we see in the exterior Winslow house moment going into this scene, they're really trying to make us think, hey, it's Christmas in Chicago, white Christmas, even though I don't know about you. Did you have a lot of white Christmases in your lifetime? Because for me, they're very rare.
Only one. I only have one white Christmas, and that was when we spent Christmas at a church in Texas.
That's ironic because Texas is in the South, and the South is not really known for snow much. How did that happen?
It wasn't snow. It was the people in attendance.
It was just a lot of white people. I almost thought you were like, there was just a lot of cocaine on Christmas. I was like, what the hell is Andrew talking about? A lot of asbestos.
Okay, I'll take the asbestos and cocaine Christmas.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I think it might have been asbestos that was like coloring this snowy exterior scene, because it was a fun fact that I learned on like the Warner Brothers tour or the Paramount tour when I visited LA. They used to do that. They used to use asbestos to create snowy scenes in otherwise sunny, non-snowy LA. And then they found out, oh, people can die from that, from inhaling that or being exposed to that. So now I think it's like mashed potato mix or some shit like that.
It's mashed potatoes, the spud things that they use, because the spuds from a distance look like snow. But I mean, I do miss that old-timey asbestos-y Christmas snow on TV. It looked good. No matter what the fact of what asbestos does to the human body, you can't deny that it does look really good on camera.
Oh my God. And then, so in scene one, we get another example of how much Herb and Diane do not like Steve. If you remember, we get a revelation that Steve was left behind so that his parents could continue their trip in Hawaii. They want to renew their vows, and their vows are to specifically not have any more children. Have you heard of any other parented married couple having such a vow? Because usually it's like, oh, hey, I promise to love you and stay with you forever. But it's like, no more penis in the vagina.
The funny thing is, yes, I do know a married couple that has a vow to never have children, and they constantly talk about that vow.
And
I love you. You guys listen to the show. I love you. But yes, I am gonna put your shit out here. You guys do that, and I freaking find it hilarious.
Have they succeeded?
Yes, they don't have kids. I'm so happy they don't have kids.
Oh, okay, okay. So they're yeah, because they would be the worst parents. They would be Herb and Diane level. And yeah, I mean, they could have still brought Steve to the Hawaii trip, but I guess the physical side of the son would just ruin the vows. So Steve has to be left behind by his lonesome. Poor kid.
I am not gonna lie here. If I had a child like Steve, I am not taking you to Hawaii. I just feel like you would ruin the trip because something is gonna happen that should not be happening. So I'd be like, hey, stay with the family. We're going on an adult vacation. Here's some presents.
Stay with the family that doesn't want you there. Stay with the Winslows who don't want anything to do with you. I mean, I would probably be both annoyed by Steve, but also still have him come with me if he was my child, because I think at the end of the day, as much as I would want to strangle him, I just still have that parental heart of like, oh, you're a kid and we don't want you to be lonely and you're family and, we'll put up with your nonsense.
I can see that to like be like, yeah, I love you and come along and all that. The reason why I'm not letting you come is because I love you. Like, if you were to come, I'm afraid it's Hawaii. There are a lot of things that can hurt you here. So I would just be so afraid to have my accident-prone child in Hawaii.
The rough waves, the dancing tiki girls, so much. The volcanoes alone.
Mm-hmm. You got volcanoes, sharks, the waves, the fires. Stay home, Steve.
Yeah, stay home where you're most safest and most. I have a dessert here. I fucking laughed out loud. This is the moment where Steve reveals he's staying with his Uncle Cecil. This is a running joke, by the way. This Uncle Cecil, I love it. Carl is confused because he thought that Uncle Cecil was locked up for running an unlicensed hot tub club, but Steve says Uncle Cecil got off easy when he caught a photo of the judge tickling the bailiff with a rubber ducky. So there's so many layers to this joke here. Number one, I mean, have you ever heard of somebody running a hot tub club? Is that a thing?
I didn't know it was a thing. A human soup club, do it.
Okay. I don't know. I just feel like this is the kind of thing that is like designed for pedophiles and perverts. Like, I just, a club, I mean, like, you go to like any like convention, like a fair or whatever, and you'll undeniably go into an exhibition hall where they have jacuzzis for you to try. Yeah, I get that. But a specific club just like, hey, try this hot tub, try that hot tub. I just feel like someone's going to get fondled with a rubber ducky.
Because okay. Stop. So I'm laughing so hard right now, y'all, because I'm thinking of Bert and Ernie with that rubber ducky.
Oh no, Sesame Street's favorite gay couple. Oh no.
Okay. So, hang on, John. You may not see me for a second.
I see you.
I don't know why the hell you're calling me. Okay. So, I am terrified of hot tubs. Hot tubs scare the crap out of me. So for me to know that there's a club of people doing hot tub stuff, I'm like, what's wrong with you? Why did you get in one of those in the first place?
Is it the strong pressure of the water shooters? Is that what scares you about hot tubs?
The fact that it's people sitting in hot water that breeds bacteria is disgusting to me. You are literally sitting in a human soup bowl. I can't do it.
All right, I get it. So the hot tub club thing I found very common. That was number one, but it just seems like a very fitting, creepy Urkel family thing to do. So I'm not surprised about that. Number two, we expose the corruption of our justice system because, like, wow, we have this judge with the weirdest kink, and then you have this random citizen, Uncle Cecil, who's like, I got a photo, and then he just gets off easy because apparently a judge can lose his job over being tickled by a bailiff with a rubber ducky.
And you sure can. That's workplace inappropriate behavior. Uncle Cecil was smart because that's how I would go into the court system. I'd be like, oh, so you're going to charge me? Well, this picture's going to the news.
Wait, okay, but like, maybe like Urkel made a family-friendly version of a dirty kink thing, but I mean, if we take it at face value, maybe the judge and the bailiff were just like having an amusing coworker, jokey, good time during a lunch break, and like, oh, hey, here's a rubber ducky, here's your butthole.
I would love for it to just be like a friendly time, but workplace dynamic says that this is an unfair power balance, and you have just assaulted a man who was probably not clothed fully with a duck. I'm going to spread that like wildfire.
Wait, okay, so wait, so the judge was tickling the bailiff, or the bailiff was tickling the judge? I think the judge.
It doesn't matter who was tickling who. Why are we tickling our coworker?
I don't
Like,
know. Just
HR would hear from me immediately if they were like, "Oh, we're going to sentence you." Okay, I have this. I am going to air it out.
all right. I would argue that the courtroom is a very depressing, morbid situation. So sometimes a little rubber ducky tickle is what you need to pass the time by. The third point I wanted to make was oh god, Urkel with these like very specific funny faces. He makes a face after the rubber ducky joke to Laura, like, I could tickle you with a rubber ducky. It was just, oh god, classic Steve.
Classic Steve, so creepy.
Creepy, but somehow I'm still laughing, and that's the genius of Jaleel White right there. So Steve's face, it goes from creepy happy to genuine childlike wonder as he follows Laura to the other side of the living room. And then when he tries to get Laura to kiss him under the mistletoe, I love the choice of having Laura hang the candy cane over Steve's puckered lips. It's a small choice, but it's still, I don't know, I just thought aesthetically, visually, it just looked like a funny choice to make.
It was pretty funny. It was hilarious. I loved that Carl and Harriet are laughing the whole time. I don't know if they were breaking character because they don't say anything, but the camera cuts to them and you see them laughing on the couch. And I thought it was the funniest moment in the scene.
I literally did not notice that. That happened?
Yes. So as soon as Steve says, "I'm under the mistletoe," or however he phrases it, the camera kind of pans to the left and you see Harry and Carl, their faces are leaned in towards each other. They're not looking at the camera, but they're laughing. And I don't know if it was them breaking character, if it was meant to be on camera, but it is hilarious.
That's interesting because now I wonder, like, oh, if they were breaking character and just laughing at what I assume is Jaleel, then what an interesting turn, given that we've heard about Joe Marie and Reginald behind the scenes not being pleased by the show's growing Urkel focus, especially Reginald, because literally Steve Vinovich, who was the master of ceremonies in the Policeman Charity Dance Contest episode, what was it, Flash Pants, even I think he was like the second or third person I heard who said that, like, when they were guest starring at Family Matters around that time. Oh, Susan Merson was the other one. Remember Susan Merson from season 1, the Mr. Bad Wretch episode. So season 1, season 2, like the first things that these guest stars picked up on was how unhappy Reginald was that he was not the star and that Jaleel was becoming the star. So to see that isolated moment where it seems like Reginald could be enjoying Jaleel's company, I think it's endearing.
It's endearing. I thought it was a cute little kiki for a moment. And it's probably the funniest moment in the episode for me because I was just looking, I was like, what? And I rewound it like 4 times just to make sure I saw what I saw. And I laughed.
I loved it. Any other thoughts about scene 1?
No, that is it for me with scene 1.
Nice. All right, scene 2, we go into the kitchen. So this is the long scene, by the way, because the kitchen and the living room, they're all threaded together. Bear with us, listener and viewer. My thought starting off was Mama Winslow making whatever food she's making in the kitchen. She's got her holiday dress on. I thought it was just very comforting to see.
Yes, this is where my name comes in today to be the Muffin Man because Mama Winslow's making gingerbread men. And if you are familiar with the best Christmas movie of all time, that is Shrek, we get a great scene with the gingerbread man being tortured. And Rachel happens to rip the head off of one of them.
Wait, are you talking about the first Shrek movie? Is that considered a Christmas movie?
I consider it a Christmas movie. I watch it on Christmas.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? People do the same thing with Die Hard, and there is that argument that goes on forever if Die Hard is a Christmas movie or not.
It is. Anybody who says Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, you're wrong. There are 3 movies that are Christmas movies that we need to acknowledge. Die Hard because it happens on Christmas.
Okay.
Shrek, the first one, and Piranha. Piranha is a Christmas movie, and anybody who says it's not, I will fight you. It is a
I've not
Christmas movie.
I've not seen Piranha. I got to dive into it. Does that have Christmas as a theme in that movie?
It has fish eating people,
Oh, and that's the Christmas spirit.
but it's played on Christmas every year. I don't know why, but it's always on TV on Christmas.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, there was a time in our American lives that I think The Wizard of Oz was played like every Thanksgiving on television. Does it have anything to do with Thanksgiving? Not really, but it's just been a tradition like that.
That and the football game. It's always a football game and The Wizard of Oz is on. So the gays get something and the straight people get something.
Yeah. So you mentioned the moment where Rachel takes so she wants to take a cookie from Mama Winslow, and then of course Mama Winslow does that mother thing that we love so well, where she's like she just slaps Rachel's hand, like not yet, not yet. You're not gonna have some of this chicken yet.
Mhm. Mama Winslow knew what she was doing. She's like, these gingerbread men are not like those tired sandwiches y'all always get. Don't try to take these.
I'm putting seasoning, love, thought into this. It's gonna take time. You could wait. Rachel, what did you think about the ugly Christmas sweater and the long Catholic school girl skirt look? I thought it was a very interesting look.
You know what? Rachel's fashion in the last couple episodes, I haven't paid attention to. And now that you mention it, she looked like Phoebe from what is that show?
Friends?
Friends. Yeah. You know how she was always wearing like hippie stuff? That's
Sure.
how Rachel looked.
Okay. All right. All right. I can take that. I mean, I don't know. I just thought she either yeah, I don't know. She just seemed very like, oh, I belong to like this college school preppy choir. She was giving me that vibe. And then Mama Winslow, if you love your sort of undercover sex jokes in a family-friendly sitcom, Mama Winslow knows how to give them. So when Rachel tells Carl that Richie wants a battery-operated talking teddy bear called the Freddy Teddy, and the teddy bear tells stories, and she's talking to Carl like as if Carl is the sugar daddy that's gonna provide all this magically. And Mama Winslow responds with like, "Oh, sounds like the guy I went out with last night, except his battery was dead." I was like, "Ah, ha ha ha." Yeah,
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mama Winslow. Your man couldn't get it up.
exactly. She made a flaccid penis joke. All right, and then she like sealed it with that snarky grandmotherly smile after she said that joke, which just made it even better.
Because she knows she did. She drained him. He didn't come over with the limp dick. Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So he was like a sort of a pubescent young boy trying to find himself. Like that's how. Oh no, well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like he was premature, like a young teenager might be when he's having sex for the first time. Because Mama Winslow's that good. That's a compliment to her. Sorry. Okay. Your facial expression detects that I said something creepy. That's not how I meant to say it. The way you're thinking of it. What I meant to say is, if a woman is so good that a man goes premature, that means that she's really good. That's what I meant to say. Didn't have to involve young boys into it. I apologize to listeners and viewers. I'm not a creep, okay?
You're not. You're not. You're not.
Hey. Giving me looks like I should be arrested, Andrew. All right, so then we get to like when Rachel says that Richie has written to Santa at least 6 times because he was worried that the first 5 letters got lost in the mail. Look, you can love little Richie all you want. I think this kid is low-key cheating the system because he knows that Santa is going to think that that's like 5 different kids when it's just one kid.
Richie's smart. I want 5 Freddy Teddies. I'm going to keep sending him letters until I get one of these. Richie's smart. Now, Richie is the star of this episode because he snatched it from everybody. He really came in with this childlike innocence about wanting his Freddy Teddy, and Richie is just the star here. So let's just take a moment and soak in Richie's ferocity to make this episode amazing.
My God. So recently I recorded an interview with our friends at the No Season 2 podcast, and one of the co-hosts agrees with me that we don't buy little Richie's cute child actor bullshit. So I'm glad I'm not alone. But yes, you can enjoy your little Richie because he's going to be there for a while.
He's going to be here for a while. And what people fail to see is that Richie is an acting genius. He's a genius. Like he knows how to come into the scene. He comes into the scene doing an action so that way he can't be cut out. And he knows what he's doing. He knows it. Take notes, girls. Take notes.
Rachel, speaking of girls, not even a girl, a woman, she has a wonderful, crazy, nagging, anti-capitalism rant that I loved because like she's annoyed that like you can't find any more Freddy teddy bears in the store. Um, and it's similar to these rants that she's had in the past where she's like, "Nah, nah, 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 nah," and she's like whacking her finger. She said something in the matter of like, you know what? They intentionally run out of teddy bears to increase demand so they can shoot up their prices and profits. I'm going to call my congressman. I'm going to call the president. Like she was just so in it, and Carl was trying to get her back into reality, and it was great. But also, you know what? A very true point. I think that Rachel's onto something. I mean, sometimes I wonder, like, are you really out of Tickle Me Elmos, or you're just intentionally out of it because you're trying to, make people pay more?
Very smart. Smart move. I mean, I would do the same thing. There's only one Andrew, you guys. If you're going to buy me, you're going to spend money. And I'm here for it because there's a shortage of Andrews in this world. And honestly, Rachel's capitalism rant, that is my dessert. It was so funny. I was like, this is the Rachel that I love.
Yeah. Well, there's you and there's Andrew Schultz, who I know that you love so much.
You know, Andre Schultz, like Andre, he doesn't deserve the W. We work hard for the name Andrew, and it's being the only Andrew in existence. It's very hard when other people try to step into our lane. So yeah, just go take a back seat.
All right. Yeah, so as you can tell, Andrew Vandertunt does not like comedian Andrew Schultz, so that's totally fine. All right. So Carl tells Rachel that he's about to call the equipment supply officer Al Mushman to check in on the Freddy Teddies. I am wondering. I mean, so Carl is a police officer. He's supposed to represent the community of Chicago. So I could see him happening to know the equipment supply officer. I just wonder if there's a conflict of interest in a police officer calling a supply officer to be like, hey, law enforcement here. A family member wants a Freddy Teddy. You think you can get me one or else I'll arrest you?
I mean, I guess there could be a conflict of interest if it was like a legal matter or like a police related matter. But I think for like personal shopping, like working in government and seeing people kind of do that, like I did it myself where I would ask somebody who I knew could procure a car for me to help me find a car. I don't think it's bad, but it definitely doesn't seem that ethical.
Yeah. All right. Mama Winslow, we're finding out, is basically the older version of Rachel when it comes to just being a man-hungry single woman. She was asking Carl, hey, is Al Mushman cute? Is he single? And if he is, can he be here by 8 o'clock?
He can find anything. Mama Winslow knew what she was doing.
Is he 21 years old? Is he 21 years and older? Does he have his own toothbrush?
He just needs to find it and leave. That's all.
There you go.
Have him find it. I'll be here at 8, and then he can get out.
By 9:45 at the latest, Al Mushman.
I love the name Mushman. It sounds like you're going to give me a very good time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the Mushman, who came up with that nickname? Is that like oh, he's gonna take her to Pound Town?
I think that's something else.
He's gonna mush her grandmotherly bits to pieces in a good way. Alrighty, and then we just get a quick switch to the living room in the middle of this scene with the rest of the family handling the decorations. And Jesus Christ, I was like, Harriet, be a model mom and just be secure about your age, because like she was telling Laura like that some decoration is about as old as she is, and then Steve was trying to do the math on how old Harriet is, and Harriet was like
21 years old.
21. Okay, Harriet, a beautiful woman, but no one's gonna buy that she's 21 years old, Andrew.
She is 21. That's what she said. Okay. And like I just turned 26 last month. Like, what are y'all talking about?
I could buy you as a 26-year-old because like when you are a fairly young adult, like I think when you're in like your 20s, 30s, 40s, like Black Don't Crack, that really resonates. So I could buy you as a 26-year-old. Harriet, she's got some distinguished wisdom woman features that make me think 21, that's a reach. Maybe like 39. Like that's what a lot of women say. Like, oh, I'm still 39.
No, John.
Okay.
I don't know any woman who would be like, yeah, I'm 39. No, I'm 21. We're celebrating my 21st birthday for the 10th time. That is what's happening. Harriet
We,
Winslow is 21 years old.
so my aunt is an example. My aunt has said she is 39 for the longest time. Look, I mean, I would argue men, women, age is a beautiful thing. Let's acknowledge it. But I understand the joke that they were going for there. So we'll leave it at that.
But also think about the time, anybody who's thinking about it, that was a time where one of the biggest phrase, you never ask a woman her age.
Yeah.
So like that's her response of like culturally at the time, it's like, why are you asking a woman her age? Ask a man their age, not a woman.
Well, in Steve's defense, he was pondering it. He was thinking about it. He didn't directly ask it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have soft violin music playing in the background. I was wondering if that was holiday music that the Winslows were playing in the background, or was that like the show overall playing some mood music? It's very small, the background music. Did you hear it?
It's elevator music, and I was like, what is happening here? Like it's like this weird elevator music track that's on a loop, and it is so weird.
Yeah. And then Jaleel, did you pick up on him sounding more nasally than usual, especially with this line where he was like excitedly telling the Winslows that, you guys put the Merry and Merry Christmas, the No and Noel, and the in spirit. He's spitting into Judy's eye when he says this.
Oh my God, I didn't notice his voice. I've got to go back and listen to that.
Jaleel either may have been sick in that scene or he was just doing the nasally thing a little bit too much, but he was nasally to the point of sounding like he had like a head cold. And also, I wonder when he spit into Judy's eye, if maybe there was a part of Jaleel in that moment that was like, I don't like Jamie. And that is proof that I don't like her. I spit in her eye.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Jamie stole the scene as well. So like I could get why he was upset. He'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna spit on you. But this is all speculation, y'all.
Jamie Foxworth is awesome. Judy is underutilized. That being said, I have to ask you how she contributed because, again, she did nothing for me in this episode. So what made her stand out in this scene for you?
Judy's CD player joke, constantly asking Harriet about it, was very funny to me. And then also, Judy is the only person in this episode who I feel has cute costume design. I felt like everybody else was just, they were there. They didn't look bad. But Judy in that blue, that like Christmas blue that she had on, I was like, oh, I love her.
Okay. Now, speaking of the CD player, yeah. So she mentions to Harriet that she wants that, like as they're going upstairs to get the tree skirt. And it reminds me of how naive I was about like when CD players came out. And I remember this was a conversation that you and I had along with my friend Courtney when we were in Connecticut for 90s Con not too long ago, because I could have sworn that CD players came out in the 2000s, maybe late 90s. I look up online and those motherfuckers came out in like 1982. It's insane to me because I just figured like, 80s, 90s, it was all like cassette tapes. And then like once the millennium came around, CD players, but they've been around for a minute.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. I mean, Betamax was like the big thing to get things on disc. And then boom, we got CD players. Now, my first CD player, I didn't get that until I think like 94, 95, something like that. But they were very expensive. So like not a lot of people had them at the time. And when we see Judy's CD player in the episode, I hope all of y'all go home and watch it if you're not home already. Watch the episode and look at the CD player. You'll understand that it is from the 80s.
Right. I definitely wouldn't have gotten a CD player in 94 because I was like 3 or 4. There's no way my parents were going to trust me with that at that young age. I guess because I didn't get a CD player until middle school in the early 2000s, that's probably why I think like, oh, this is when CD players came around, because before that, I literally never saw a CD player. It was just, my parents had all these cassette tapes and yeah, you see CDs that they play in their car, but an actual portable CD player, it just didn't dawn on me until like 2003.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that would make sense, especially you being in middle school at the time. Like, most people don't acknowledge that something's existence until you have it. Because it's like, how do you really describe or feel a way about something if you don't ever have one?
Right, right. So there's your cute little Richie. He's coming in with his red Christmas sweater. I think this is the first time that I've seen him in this episode. Did he appear prior to this moment?
Nope, he walks in for the first time at this moment. He comes in an action sequence in the scene, and his choreography was killer.
Action sequence. What action sequence? What are you talking about?
He walked into the scene.
Oh, that's it. Okay. That by virtue is the equivalent of Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
That is like Bruce Willis jumping out of the window of the exploding building.
Got it. Man, you have put Richie on such a pedestal. I need to get Brighton McClure to come on so we can just like have you gloat about how much you love him.
Brian McClure, if you come on here, I'm going to fangirl for the entirety time that you are here.
Yeah. Oh my God. So he's telling a secret to Steve about, he wants to get a Freddy Teddy. Steve has been, and I will take this. This was a good little Richie moment. Steve is asking little Richie if he's been a good boy this year. And Richie says, well, I had a pretty good August. I knew you were going to love that line. I knew you were going to love that line.
That is the joke of the season. Forget the episode. That is the joke of the season. That literally in my notes is covered in stars and it says dessert. Best joke of the season.
All right, fine. It wasn't a dessert for me, but I did highlight that like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good line for a little kid to say. And Steve is just in crazy adoring awe over Richie calling him Uncle Steve. And then he follows it up with, oh, I just love children. They're still young enough to respect me. And that alone is a funny line. But also I'm like, Steve, you're not exactly 37 years old. I think you're also a child too.
Steve just knows. He's like, I'm not going to get much respect in this world, so I'm going to take it where I get it.
God. Jaleel as Steve, like he has like these self-deprecating lines. Like it could be both funny, but there's also a tinge of, oh my God, I feel so bad for you.
I mean, yeah, that feeling does exist.
You don't feel that feeling. I can tell you don't feel that feeling. You are like completely just either laughing or not sympathetic.
What are you talking about? I truly care about Stephen Urkel, and so Eddie had on these cute winter boots. And his sweater ate in the scene.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. Okay. So, Eddie's winter boots, and also his really deep voice when he said that, like, he tells Steve that he shouldn't have told Richie that Freddy Teddy was coming his way. Eddie sounded like he was like a 27-year-old football player. Like, oh, Steve, you shouldn't have told him that. Like, what? I was like, God damn, Darius, stop growing up so fast.
His voice dropped like 4 octaves, and he has peach fuzz on his chin. Like, we're literally watching Eddie Winslow grow up in front of us.
I did not see that. Oh my God, I gotta watch that again. It's just hard to believe. Jaleel and Darius, they were born the exact same year. Jaleel looks like he's 2 years old compared to Eddie. It's just insane.
Mm-hmm. Something's in that water. Eddie was like, I am going to be an adult before I even hit 14.
Something's in that bilge water, as Steve references much later. Bilge water. So Steve is not worried about like Richie's Freddy Teddy because Santa will take care of it. And Eddie and Laura, like, they're shocked because they're like, oh shit, Steve still thinks Santa is real. Automatically, I thought, risky direction the show is taking, because I would imagine that a lot of kids who believe in Santa are watching, and to imply that what you believe is not real, a little bit of a risk.
So I'm trying to understand that. When did you ever believe in Santa?
I'm sure I did, because my parents, being as Christian as they are and not really Santa crazy as like as most secular Christmas people, they used to, like, when me and my sister were little, they would like sign their presents and sign cards, love Santa, sincerely Santa. They did that for a little bit. So I'm sure that there was a period of time in my childhood that I believed in Santa. My little brother, who is now in his early 20s, he's 10 years younger than me. But when he was a kid, me and my sister, we kept up the thing with him. I mean, we would have him leave cookies and milk out for Santa overnight. And then I think he told us when he was much older that, like, oh yeah, I just went along with it, even though I didn't believe in Santa, just to make you guys feel better. Like, I was like, what the hell? What about you? Did you believe in Santa?
No, my parents made it very clear that Santa was witchcraft, so we did not believe in Santa. So I didn't get that fun fantasy feeling of it's going to be Santa, but I can only imagine people watching, like kids who are like, family members said Santa wasn't real. Like, what in the world was their reaction?
That must have been insane. Yeah, my parents were the typical Christian people that thought that Halloween was witchcraft, but with Santa, they kind of teetered in between. Hey, we're gonna make sure that you know that it's Jesus's birthday. We're gonna go to church and we're gonna do this and that. But also, they were aware that all the pop culture things we were watching was indicating that like Santa's real. Santa is this big thing for kids. So I think they were trying to like toe that line until of course we all found out that he wasn't real. And yes, we could say that, dear listener and viewer, because this is a very explicit podcast. So if you have your kids listening to this, shame on you. They should not be listening to this.
If your children are listening to this, I'm calling CPS on you, bitch. Like, what the hell? Do not put this on for your children.
You are literally Herbert Diane if you are letting your children listen to this podcast. It is we're talking about a sitcom that kids can watch, but we're talking about it in a very adult way. So please, kids, do not listen to this until you are 18. Okay? Okay? Be like Adonis when he listens to Kendrick Lamar's diss when he's 18. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. You wait until you're 18. And then even after you turn 18, because you'll probably turn 18 by the time we get to season 9, don't you dare tell us you've been listening since season 1, because I will fight you. I will be like, so you're calling us old? That's what you're saying?
Yes, 9 years from now, we will be 21 years old. God damn it. No questions about it. Oh, this is a dessert for me in this scene. Great line from Steve. He really shows his obliviousness after saying that he tries to ignore vicious gossip that Santa isn't real. Like he's saying it to Eddie like he's trying to keep it as hush-hush as possible. Like, no, I don't believe that. And also, there's an ugly rumor floating around that I'm a nerd. What? Love that line.
I think it sums up Steve in a nutshell of exactly the person who he is, and I love it.
Yeah, yeah. And here's where the bilge water comes back into play. So when Steve tells Laura that he's surprised that she believes this bilge water, Bilge, of like there being no Santa, did you know what bilge water meant?
I didn't even know the word bilge was used in this episode until you said it. So I have no idea what this is.
Apparently it's like dirty water that builds up like in the outer parts of a ship. Like like when a ship is in the water and I guess there's like dirty water that just like builds up around it, you call that bilge water.
Oh, okay. I learned something new today.
Yeah, bilge sounds too much like MILF or DILF, so I recommend it not be a word that anybody uses because it's just a strange word.
It is a very strange. I'm going to call somebody bilge today and see how they respond.
Yeah, well, hopefully you don't get bilge slapped.
I mean, if I get bilge slapped, I wouldn't be mad again if you're sexy.
There you go. Oh, God. All right. Steve is delightfully discovering a good idea he has for convincing Eddie and Laura that there is a Santa. And the way he discovers it is the best. He's just like, oh, how about I send you a list of what I asked Santa for by registered mail, and we'll see if he like checks off all the things on my list.
Thank you for breaking that down, because I did not understand that. I have watched this episode 3 times, and I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about doing? Why are you sending a letter to prove Santa's real? You just broke it down for me, and now I understand it.
So I was almost going to write down my confusion as well in the notes, but I think I get it. I think he's sending the Winslows he's sending the Winslows a copy of his Christmas list. He'll have the master copy that he sends to Santa. So on Christmas Day, Steve's plan is to go to the Winslows with his presents, and they'll have the duplicate. He'll have the master copy. And then they'll go through the list together to see, okay, Santa brought me this, Santa brought me that. And that's Steve's way of proving that Santa is real. I think that is David Duclain's logic when he wrote this episode. I think.
Look, I am going with that because that makes way more sense than what I thought was happening. I was like, oh, Steve is setting up his manipulation plan now so he can make everything on that letter happen and then say, I told you. So your explanation makes way more sense.
Also, he's wasting money on postage because he lives right next fucking door. How about you just walk over to the house and review the list with a copy rather than like go through the whole process of sending mail?
It, See, that's where it threw me. I'm like, why is he sending a letter to them when they live next door? Like, it just threw me for a loop. So it helps me understand your breakdown of it. And maybe he decided to do certified mail so they couldn't say that he wrote the list the day of.
Possibly, possibly. I don't know. It takes some time to think about it, but we'll get there. We'll get there. My main course happens in this scene. I felt emotional whiplash. We took a very abrupt dramatic turn because we go from Steve, like he's excitedly on his way out the door, about to write his Christmas list, and then he trips over the lights on the Winslow Christmas tree. Laura is so mad because it turns out that Steve broke her favorite ornament. And then Steve does his, did I do that? And then Laura just gets fucking pissed off. She's just like, Steve. Like, Steve says sorry. She's like, oh, you're always sorry. Like, don't come here on Christmas. In fact, don't come here ever again. And then we just get the usual emotional sitcom background music. What did you think? Because I thought it was just like a random pivot.
Junk food.
Oh, that's your junk food. Okay.
Yeah, it was junk food. That was like literally junk food. Like, I don't understand why this happened. It didn't make sense. Again, like you said, we go from one end of the spectrum to another. Like, it's a very abrupt ending to the scene. I don't think it was done well. I don't think it was acted well. I don't feel like the response was deserved to what happened. Like, it was just a very weird moment where I think, and, Rich Carell, you're a friend of the pod, so I'm saying this very politely, but I think they kind of just ran out of ideas of how to make Urkel the bad person in this situation, so they threw something together, and this is what we got.
I think they should have found a way to implement this much earlier to make this like a really big theme. Like, okay, Laura is kicking Steve out. Steve's alone for Christmas. But it was just like we went from one mood and then we decide, oh, we're just going to pivot and go to another mood. I don't want to say bipolar. It just has the implication of a writer who just wrote one way and then like midway through the script, he decides, oh, I want to just pivot in this other direction, but I don't want to delete what I already wrote. That's what it gave me that feeling, And this might be the only time that I'm siding with Steve's emotional manipulation because he does that so well. I mean, he will, he's walking out the door and he's just like, okay, Laura, I guess for your Christmas present, I'll just never be in your life again. And then the audience awes. So it's definitely emotional manipulation, but it's probably the only time that I'll side with him because of the pivot of the fact that, like, wait, what? Like, yes, okay, your favorite ornament, I can get that you would be hurt by that, but my God, Laura, to just go from like, Steve, annoying to Steve, I never want to see you again. Like, what else did you expect? I mean, he's going to be the clumsy kid who he is. I don't know if him accidentally tripping over your favorite ornament, which is something that is just a part of his character, warrants, you just being like, you're done. Your life is over.
Yeah. Like, we even build up that this ornament was so important to Laura. Like, we got it in one line with Harriet about liking the ornament and how old it was. But for her to have this massive response to something that was kind of a throwaway line in the first couple of lines in the scene, I was like, what is happening here? Like, this is so weird. And we could have gotten so much more. We could have gotten so much more from this. I feel like if you've ever written a paper in English and you're like, oh yeah, I'm having fun, I'm writing this paper. Let's say it's about a book that you love. And then you look at your the guidelines of what you're supposed to write about for this paper, and you're like, oh, shit, there's supposed to be conflict in here. Well, I'm not deleting everything I wrote. Let me just scribble in some conflict. I feel like that's what happened in this scene because it doesn't fit at all to everything we've experienced in the episode so far. Like,
absolutely,
they could have turned that to Steve fixing the ornament and going above and beyond in his Urkel craziness to make something impressing to Laura, as opposed to, oh, Steve, I'm so angry at you. And then, Steve, I'm going to manipulate you and I'm going to go home and live in the environment that we all know you already live in. What?
Yeah, I agree. So we finally wrap up this really long scene. So Laura seems to have that look of regret as Steve is walking out very sadly. Any other thoughts about this scene too?
No more thoughts.
We get into the department store, scene 3. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, we're starting with a banner. At the top of the store, it says, yes, we have Freddy Teddies. And then you have a long line of people waiting at the cashier counter for what I assume is Freddy Teddies. A couple of points. One, I'm guessing that Carl made the influential call to Al Mushman, and now they have restocked on Freddy Teddies, this department store. Number 2, I feel like the number one thing you should not do as a retail store during the holiday season is to put a big banner up advertising the thing that everybody wants, because what's going to happen like that, you're going to sell out and you're going to end up having a lot of pissed off people at the store.
So I have to disagree with you on this point.
Oh, all right.
I, as somebody who would love to work in retail during the holidays,
Wow.
I would love to put up the scarcity of an item, because I want to see people rip people's faces off for these items. I love watching Black Friday videos because people fight, and it's so good. It's like, ooh, they're fighting. Have you ever seen the movie Jingle All the Way?
No, but I'm thinking of a horror movie where Tony and I, my wife, we watched it, and like from the first scene, it was Black Friday, and it turns into a horror movie. Like literally, like blood is coming out of people's heads, decapitated, disembodied, like people's arms are getting cut off. I don't know if this is the same movie you're talking about, but it was a movie on
No,
Netflix.
Jingle All the Way is a kid's movie, but what you're describing sounds so much fun. Oh my God, keep going.
Yeah. No. It's on Netflix. I forgot what the title is called, but we had to stop it because it was just getting so campy, unnecessarily over the top, gory. So you like the death and destruction on Black Friday. I would never be there. I don't know why people are so obsessed about it to the point where they're willing to fight each other over a TV. But you're saying that you live for watching those videos.
I do, and I think you're describing Black Christmas. I think that's the movie.
Man.
Personally, I love horror movies for Christmas. Black Christmas, Silent Night, Bloody Night, or Deadly Night, whatever it is. They're great movies. I love a slasher on Christmas. But I do, like me, on Black Friday, I wake up with jolly in my heart like it's Christmas and turn on YouTube so I can see people smashing each other's faces for a television.
Now, would you want to be in that crowd? Would you want to shop and see that in person? Would you be as stressed out?
No, because I do Black Friday shop, but I don't Black Friday shop in that like early morning rush.
Yeah.
I always go to like a game store because game stores in the afternoons have like great sales on Black Friday. So
Yeah.
in person, I don't think I would go. It's just too many people for me. But there's just something so fun about seeing a parent run in a store for a Tickle Me Elmo, and there's only one left on the shelf. So what do? They swing their small child as a bat to hit the other parents out of the way to get Tickle Me Elmo.
They're using this poor child as a weapon, and meanwhile, the child is going to have cuts and bruises afterwards over being used as a weapon toward making sure that grandma doesn't get the Tickle Me Elmo first.
But you know what will soothe those cuts and bruises? Tickle Me Elmo.
I guess. You know, speaking of which, they're really setting up the Freddy Teddy as like the precursor to the Tickle Me Elmo phenomenon, because I think it was Christmas of 1995. And there was like an episode of this, like in a Hulu docuseries about the 90s. I mean, Tickle Me Elmo, it was the toy that everybody wanted in Christmas of 95. So with this taking place in Christmas 1990, I think we're just sort of like getting a nice build up to, those Black Friday phenomenons that can really tear people apart.
And you will. I think it's a great time period in human history. You don't really see it too much anymore because of Bezos, but I personally love it. And also, y'all, check out Jingle All the Way. This scene here gives us very early Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad, I think are the 2 stars of the movie. So we've got people in this line waiting for this desired item, and it all goes to hell.
All right. I mean, you say Arnold Schwarzenegger and Christmas movie, and I'm already in. So I am going to put that on my watch list. So we have what's her name as the customer at the front, and I'm sorry. I'm not even talking about the customer at the front. I'm talking about the store clerk. The store clerk. Stunning. He's stunning me for 2 reasons. Number one, Why is he even bother like asking who's in line for the Freddy Teddy? We all know everybody's in line for the Freddy Teddy. That's one. Number two, this fucking teddy bear is $90 in 1990. I put that into like 2024 dollars. That is $241 for a teddy bear in 2024, Andrew. I mean, look, I understand that shopping for kids on Christmas is expensive, but damn, I mean, don't you think that is quite a markup for 1990?
You know what? It is a markup, but the only thing I say in the store owner's defense, if he is the store owner, if I was a toy shop owner, something like that, and I only had two left, I'm knocking the price up. It's gonna happen.
Man, it reminds me of when I used to work for a resale ticket market, and we used to sell tickets for events like Disney on Ice. And last minute, like 10 minutes before the show was about to start, someone called in, asked what tickets were. And I think there were seats that were near the front for like $800 for Disney on Ice, which I've seen, and it's fun for the family, but is it worth $800 a ticket? No. I mean, there's making money reasonably based on market demand. And then I think there's just what we like to call price gouging to the point where you wonder if this should even be legal at all. I mean, I don't know, $90 for a teddy bear. Jesus.
I mean, until they make it illegal, I'm gonna say do it. But once it's illegal, do it on the slide. Like you got a line of people. You're gonna have to clean up the store. You're gonna have to deal with all their attitudes over this teddy bear. You deserve compensation for that. But I do feel that there are some crazy markups where it's like, okay, this is just a bit crazy and y'all need to.
Right, right. And so now we get to that like customer at the front of Carl, first one in line to try to get the Freddy Teddy. And, you know, she reminds me of that like old lady at the grocery store that holds up the line because she has to get out her checkbook. She has to take like 90 years to get out her checkbook. So the front customer gets out her credit card. The store clerk is like, oh, I'm going to need to call a phone number to verify this credit card. She had to be that one person that has like the American Express that you have to like verify for 5 minutes to make sure it's a legit thing. Damn you.
Yep. As soon as he said, I've got to call us, and I'm like, damn American Express. Why is American Express so exclusive when it's one of the hardest cards to use?
Yeah. And going back to the resale ticket market I used to work for, we had some customers that paid for their thing with an American Express, and of course it was for things like an $800 Disney on Ice ticket. And I do remember like there were times where customers had to call and see if their charge was like taken off of pending or some approval process that they had to go through because, you know, it's for those rich ass people that like to spend thousands of dollars on something and you want to make sure that it's legit.
Yeah, I've never understood it. Like American Express and like, I have friends who have American Express cards. And you know me, I love going to brunch. Those friends I don't invite to brunch because they try to use that card to pay. And the restaurant's always like, we don't take American Express. So it's so annoying to have somebody who has an American Express card with you because you don't know if you're going to be able to complete the purchases that they want.
It's bougie inconvenience. That's what I call it.
Yes.
Put that on a sticker. Bougie inconvenience. All right. So we get our elder lady customer right behind Carl. She's very charming, overly smiley. I mean, to the point of where she could be a horror movie character because of how forcefully granny-like she's like. She's just like, don't you just love the smiling faces of children on Christmas morning? Ellen, this actress, goes really out there. And Carl, of course, is just like, yeah, okay, all right.
She would have landed me on the naughty list from jump.
Why?
As soon as you tap me, we have issues. Tapping me. I hate being tapped by people. So as soon as that happened, I'm like, why are you tapping me? Santa would have wrote me off that day in that moment.
So do you hate the tap more or the random small talk with a stranger as you're waiting in line impatiently for an item?
I hate the tap more because the tap means I have to look at you because I don't know if you're attacking me or like there's an issue. The talking, I just always keep headphones on, so I just won't talk to you. But the tapping is like, oh, come on, girl.
We're about to fight.
Yeah, I would like, look, find your husband so I can beat him up. Do something.
Not the lady. You're not beating up the lady. You're beating up the husband who has nothing to do with it.
Yes, I'm gonna be like, find your husband, your oldest grandchild, whoever is a male figure in your life, find them because I'm gonna fight them for you.
Uh, okay. Okay, so you're very old school. You're like you'll never beat a girl.
No, never. I'm never putting my hands on a woman. And if you're around me and you do, you're getting hurt by me. I'm gonna hurt you. But I'm gonna find the man in your life, some man, I don't care who it is, your son, your husband, whoever. Find him so I can fight him.
All right, all right. Carl says he has been in this line for 3.5 hours and he drove almost 50 miles from home. Would you drive 3.5 hours? Actually, no. Would you wait in line for 3.5 hours and drive 50 miles for just anything that you want for Christmas so badly?
Well, this is bringing up PTSD from last night.
Oh,
Um,
oh.
so last night I had a DoorDash order. The line was wrapped around the store 2 times. I stood in line for 2 hours, but it was worth it. The pay for that order was so good. But if it's something I really want, yes. Like when the first Xbox came out, I stood in line for 5.5 hours.
Wow. That's insane. I couldn't do that. I'm a very impatient person. I could not do that. Can I ask how much that DoorDash pay was? Because for me, I'm calculating. I'm like, all right, maybe if it's like $50 to $100 an hour, somewhere in that range, then that 2 hour wait may be worth it. Was it in that range?
It was $92.50. I
Okay.
stood my ass right there.
Yeah.
It was 3 separate orders.
I am also confused going back to the scene that Carl has been waiting 3.5 hours for what I think is a small store. It looks like a small store. The line doesn't seem like it's that long. So I think I want to say that the customer service is just really, really terrible because it's like this is for a teddy bear, and what all you have to do is just go to the closet to see if you have teddy bears. Like, how long does it take to give a teddy bear to people?
Right. How long does it take? And unless that line was full of people with American Express cards, we should not have been here that long.
Yeah, yeah. I do like the choreography though that happens. Like you get this domino effect when like the first person in line, they get their Freddy Teddy, they're leaving, and then Carl moves to the front, and then you have like all these other people behind him, like eagerly like going forward. And what happens, that domino effect of like all of them just end up shoving into the person that's in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Again, this would have set me off. I hate being touched by people.
Yeah. Even if it's on accident.
Yes. Oh, I hate being touched by people. I'd have been like, what's happening?
Yeah. Now, this is where I have to like repeat my argument of like, do not put a big banner advertising a toy that you'll run out of in 2 seconds, because Carl gets his Freddy Teddy. Turns out it's the last one. The employee has to announce to everybody that like, oh, hey, there's no more, which doesn't make sense because the banner implies that you have a good amount left to last you for at least a day of work. But no, now you've just pissed off a line of people that are going out into the street. They can't get their Freddy Teddies anymore.
You have set the expectation, see the face crack of disappointment. And for retail workers, I imagine that's got to be very satisfying.
If I was a retail employee, which I have been during the holidays, I would be anxious and pissing in my pants because I hate conflict. I hate, just the visual representation in front of me that I pissed off someone. So, maybe as a YouTube video, what? Well, what's your face? What?
No, finish your thought. Finish your thought.
No. As a YouTube video, maybe for entertainment, I'd be fine with it. But like, as the person that is like pissing off somebody, even though I'm not directly responsible for no more Freddy teddy bears, like I would want to run away.
Look,
No?
I'm laughing, John, because I'm imagining you on a ladder above everybody else in the store, and you're like, crap, they are about to riot. So what do? You throw the final one into the crowd to distract everybody and run out of the store.
All right, that was a different thought than what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to be like, oh, you're at the top of the ladder and you're so nervous that you just end up pissing on everybody down below.
That would be even funnier too.
Oh my God, I pissed everyone off and I've given them a golden shower. What the fuck?
Oh, man.
That is great. So now everybody's angry that they didn't get their teddy bear and they're drenched with nervous black guy piss. What's going on here?
Merry Christmas.
Oh God. Yeah. And I drink a lot of caffeine, so that piss is gonna smell bad. But anyway. Uh, so the old lady behind Carl, obviously, she goes from grandmotherly nice to just like, this is the Black Friday shopper anger that you love so much, Andrew. She just gets aggressive with Carl's Freddy Teddy. She just falsely claims that he butted in line. And then this angry mob just circles around Carl trying to get this Freddy Teddy that they don't deserve because it's not theirs. It's Carl. That's the fair thing. I also have to make a note, Andrew, that whoever packages the Freddy Teddies does a horrible job. Because if you notice, the lady was able to just easily grab the Freddy Teddy out of the box as if the box was like not even packaged at all.
Yeah, it was very bad packaging. I would have expected it to be like a good guy doll packaged or something, not
Yeah.
like this very weird chintzy packaging. Now, this is where Santa, if he didn't have me on his naughty list, he would have scribbled my name over everybody else's. Because in a moment like this, and I have done this before, if I'm in line, there's only one item, and one person behind me is trying to take it, I am going to destroy that item in front of you to make sure nobody gets it.
Never mind you wanting that item so badly. You're like, you know what's going to please me more? Seeing your face as you realize you're not going to have that item anymore.
Yes, the look of sheer depression and hopefully just disillusionment and hopefully despondency. Those are feelings that make me feel very warm inside. And to see them on your face after you tried to take this from me, more satisfying than anything else in the world.
I love it. You are like the sort of petty destructive force that I live for.
Let me be petty for you people. Let me be your petty person because I would pettily destroy that thing even though I know I want it because it's going to satisfy me to see you hurt that you can't get it either.
Yeah. Well, the angry mob does definitely destroy this Freddy Teddy, and I mean, I think it's stupid because it's like, well, it's the thing that you guys wanted. Why are you, not only like surrounding Carl and trying to beat him up, but just destroying this one thing that you want? Carl is desperately fighting for his life on the floor. As this scene was fading out, did you notice that black lady that was part of the mob? She looks at the disembodied teddy bear as it flies up and lands on the floor for a moment, and she has that look of like, oh God, what did we do? And then as the scene is gradually fading into the next scene, she laughs. I see her laugh. So I'm thinking that the actress did not know that the scene wasn't quite over yet. Either that or she just has this very maniacal glee as the character that like, I caused destruction. But I'm thinking it was the actress, the background actress that just didn't know that the scene was over and she broke character.
If anybody knows who this background actress is, I need you to get her in contact with us.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm laughing is because that's a dessert of mine, because that would have been me. That's a dessert of mine.
Oh, you noticed that too?
Oh yeah. Yes. It's like she looked, she's like, I just threw a grenade into this crowd and I'm watching the fruits of my labor. And I just laughed at this woman because I'm like, oh, she's sitting back and she's reveling in this, which would be me watching a Black Friday video. But then also, I think, and please tell me if I am wrong, but when Carl's getting mobbed and all this is happening and they drag him back into the group of people and this lady is laughing, did he pull out his nightstick?
I don't remember a nightstick. I know that he pulled out a walkie-talkie, like he was trying to get backup. But yeah, the nightstick would have been so much better.
It would. I was like, because all I saw was the black thing in his hand, and I saw this woman laughing, and I'm like, oh my God, what is about to happen?
God, man, if Carl pulled out that nightstick, that would have been some ironic, racist, white Alabama cop energy from like the 50s. I would have loved that so much.
I would have loved it. I was like, when the mob started to come towards him, I'm like, Carl, pull out your gun and say, this stick up or something. Like, stop these people in their tracks. But of course, family show, you can't do that. But I thought it would have been hilarious.
Now, you used to work in 911. Do you know if cops are still using nightsticks?
Oh, yeah, they still have them. They're telescopic batons at this point. So if you don't know what a telescopic baton is, it looks like some of them are about this big, but it actually extends. And then there's this hard piece at the end that can really break bone. But that's what they use now as opposed to just the standard big billy club.
So it's police brutality with ballet finesse.
It is. It's a little finesse to your release brutality.
I love it. Any other thoughts about scene 3?
No, that was it for me on scene 3.
We go to scene 4 in the living room. Harriet is finishing up what I would say is a very beautifully decorated tree. I mean, I know, look, it's cliche to see a lot of people posting pictures of their trees on Instagram, but there's just something very comforting about looking at a tree that you clearly put a lot of thought in. So we see that with Harriet's tree, and she has her ugly sweater on with the red pants. She's probably had this throughout the episode, but I'm just noticing like this mixture of the ugly sweater, the red pants, and of course the heels. Like even when she's doing something physical, like putting together Christmas decorations, Harriet's got to have heels on because she's 21. She's very, very, very mindful about her look.
The higher the hills, the closer you are to God.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. So Laura comes back from shopping. She reports that like, oh God, it was a mob out there. Probably the same angry mob that we saw in the last scene. And Harriet was asking Laura if she got the compact disc that Judy supposedly wants, which confused me for two reasons. One, I thought that Judy was asking for a CD player, not an individual compact disc, as Harriet says. And number two, if you want to look at an example of a very out of touch adult thing to say, it's saying compact disc instead of CD.
um, so I can relate to this because my mom would always say compact disc. And I feel like it's just an age thing. But
so a question, did she say it when CDs were still fairly new? Because I could see her why she did that. I mean, I would think that by now everybody would say CD, but I feel like maybe like 10 years into the CD being invented, maybe people were still saying compact disc.
my mom said it until CDs weren't a thing anymore. Yeah, I'm just thinking she always says she's like compact disc. My mom was kind of like me where I'm just like gonna say the full name of something just because like your cellular phone. I'm not gonna say cell phone, but things like that. Um, but I laugh because it was funny how Harriet says it. And then when you look at the packaging for this compact disc, it is not compact at all. The packaging is longer than Laura's forearm. It is
Yeah.
the funniest thing to see.
It is like so it's not an individual. I think it's more like a 4 CD set. Like that fucking I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like when my mom used to like have the televangelist Billy Graham on I think CD or what it was called DVD. But like she used to have like this 4-part series like oh Billy Graham in Tennessee, Billy Graham preaching in Texas. That's what it reminded me of. Also, maybe you have those parents as well that had the thick ass book of CDs. Like you open the zipper and then you just flip through the slides of CDs that they have. That's kind of what this big CD package thing reminded me of in this scene.
Oh, you just reminded me of my first CD book.
Yeah, do you still have it?
No, I lost it on a field trip and it has some great CDs in it. Oh man.
Nice. Like music or just like what does it have?
You like now the kids, y'all are not gonna know what we're talking about when I say burned CDs, but
Yeah.
it had a bunch of burned CDs in it. I had Blink 182, AFI, I think Linkin Park. I was in my nerd bag at that point. So I had a lot of like alt rock music and oh man, I remember that.
Yeah. And in this scene, can I bring up a relevant pop culture reference? Harriet was like, she was bummingly surprised that Laura got Judy a Willard Scott singing the camp songs or singing campfire songs CD. Now, that is a joke to mean that this is a lame thing that Judy would never want because Willard Scott was like some middle-aged white man who was a weather reporter on the Today Show back in the day. And he was also known for like mentioning 100 birthdays. Like anytime you turn 100, Willard Scott's going to talk about you on the Today Show. Also, did you know that he was the very first Ronald McDonald? The very first Ronald McDonald mascot. If you remember, like this video is pretty much viral right now. The first Ronald McDonald, that's something out of a horror movie. That is a nightmare. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea about who you're talking about, but I do know the original Ronald McDonald. It scared the crap out of me. Now,
Yeah.
I didn't know who Willard was, but I know who Bryant Gumbel is. And
I
that
had a feeling.
I was like, Brian Gumble. Oh my God.
Yeah. Because Harriet also mentions that Brian Gumble sings backup. And Brian Gumble was one of the lead anchors on the Today Show at the time. And I mean, very revolutionary because here was a intelligent black man leading a big network morning news show. And I'm also surprised that this is a reference that's made on an ABC show because the Today Show is NBC. So I would have figured that they would have referenced Good Morning America, but I guess the Today Show was just so big that they just had to slip it in.
I mean, the Today Show is huge, and when you have a daddy like Mr. Gumble, oh God,
I had a
that
feeling.
news gets my juices going.
I had a feeling you would like Brian Gumble. I had a feeling. And thank God for Carlton from Fresh Prince because without him, I would not know who Brian Gumble is. Like that's how I first knew about Brian Gumble was when Carlton kept on bringing him up as an idol.
But Carlton knew. He was like, this man is amazing. I mean, I love the news. I'm a news person, so I would have fallen in love with him anyways. But it's just like, yes.
Yeah. And I remember one of the clips that we posted on family on our social medias at Delicious Recap in most places. You put the clip of this is a viral clip at this point, but Brian Gumble talking about the internet with Katie Couric on the Today Show, and Brian talked as if he was someone who had no fucking idea what this new thing called the internet is. So if you don't know what we're talking about, listener, like go watch it because he's just like, wait, what? This @ sign that you put on an email, like what is that?
When you go back, you need to look at our post for Kathy Kinzura, excuse me, and you will see the little clip. But if you want to find the full video, I may post it with this when we post this episode. So that way you can see it as well, because it's an epic moment in human history when we discover that there's a symbol for it.
Yep. Kathy Kinzura, by the way, from the History of the 90s podcast. Our interview is up wherever you get podcasts. So definitely search that. That was a good time. And Laura is telling Harriet that she's feeling guilty for how she scolded Steve for the broken ornament. Harriet tells Laura that Steve just cannot help but be clumsy. And Laura was breaking out a pretty decent Urkel impression when she was like, oh God, Steve is so clumsy. I bet the first words that he blurted out when he was born was, did I do that? Like she had it pretty much on lockdown.
Laura kind of ate the scene up. She was very funny. She gave us emotion. She gave us all these things. The only thing, and this is to the people who did wardrobe, why did Laura not have any snow on her?
Coming back in because it's been snowing so much in Chicago.
Yeah. The cut scene we get at the beginning of the scene is the snow globe house again. And Laura walks in here dry as a bone, clothes fresh pressed to impress, and not a single drop of water.
Just like Harriet being 21, we have to keep up the illusion that these ladies are always going to show up clean. Yeah. Hey, did you notice Laura's Christmas present earrings?
Yes, I did. I noticed her cute little earrings, and I actually want a pair. I'm going to find a pair.
There you go. Anything else about this scene?
No, that was it for me.
We go to Steve's basement, or else I think you can also call it a dungeon. Like it just has like it's a very empty, echoey dungeon. And I gotta admit, I mean, Urkel was almost gonna make me cry because he was like sadly singing "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" in the first person, as you know, "Have myself a merry little Christmas." And he's got his holiday PJs. There's this big table that's just positioned weirdly in the center of the basement. Urkel's sitting down, and he is looking at his very tiny tree on the table. I'm sure it was supposed to have some amusement to it, but just the sight of a kid being alone on Christmas just makes my heart sad.
Well, so the basement gave me it puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again vibe.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what are we about to see here?
Yeah, because you have the radiator heater thing in the background, so maybe Urkel likes to burn his victims whenever he's done non-consensually kissing them.
Urkel, we know you. We have caught on to you now, okay? You're stable. Yeah. This scene, it is sad. One of the things, though, and this is going to be a rare moment, y'all, that I can actually relate to Steve, is the little Christmas tree. So I got my first Christmas tree for the first time ever 4 years ago. And it's about the size of that Christmas tree that Urkel has on the table, maybe a little bit bigger. But I was like, oh, okay, I can see it. That's me on Christmas. I relate, Urkel.
I feel like that's a very single person apartment thing to do. Like anytime I hear that someone has like a Christmas tree that tiny, I always imagine that they're on their own. And in fact, it's you and maybe a couple other people that fit that exact description that have that kind of Christmas tree. Is it just because like, oh, like we're single and we're broke and we want to celebrate Christmas, but we don't have the room or the money for a big Christmas tree?
For me, it was my first time ever in my life having a Christmas tree. So it was kind of like, oh, I'm just going to kind of ease into this because I don't know what to do. Now, I like seeing like the big Christmas trees people post on their social media that have like all the fancy ornaments and stuff. But for me, I was just like, I don't know if I can design it to look that way yet. So this was my experiment into a Christmas tree. And I actually had fun with it. I liked it. And for my apartment size, it worked fairly well.
All right, there you go. I love this sort of ironic callback detail. Steve puts an ornament on the tiny tree after singing "Have Myself a Merry Little Christmas," and the tree falls. It just reminded me of like, oh hey, like you tripped over the Winslow Christmas tree, and now you have your own version of tripping over a tree with this tiny tree.
I love that they tie the stories together because the tree falls in the same exact direction as the Winslow's tree.
There
So
you go.
it was kind of like this little continuity where they're like, let's mirror these themes.
Yeah. David Duclan and Rich Carell, I saw what you did there. Again, it's very echoey. Like when Steve speaks, it just seems like his voice is just kind of like vibrating throughout the room. So it seems like this is a very big, spacey, mostly empty basement. And it's still kind of sad, but I like how he tries to cheer himself up with like, oh, I'll know what I'll do. I'll read my Christmas cards. And then he picks up the one card on the table and then he's just like, one? Then takes a beat and then realizes there's no more cards. And then he's just like, all right, now I'll read it. The one card.
Poor Steve.
Yeah. And how appropriate. The only card that he got was from his friends at the Allergy Institute. I mean, it might as well should have been signed like, oh, from your allergist, Dr. Wu and friends, because I know that Dr. Wu is like pretty much his best friend.
Yeah, the allergist just seems like the only people who know anything about Steve.
Yeah. What did you think about his Christmas dinner? Oh, God, did that look nasty as fuck?
I was trying to figure out what he was eating. I was enamored by the microwave. The old school microwave, super cool. But then when he took the food out, I was like, what is that? Is that like just a steak? Like what's he eating?
That steak had some nasty white stuff on it. I don't know what the fuck that was, but it was like, oh, is that like the asbestos that they used outside for the fake snow? Did they put that on the steak?
Asbestos is also seasoning.
Oh, God. So Laura walks through. It's revealed that, of course, she feels bad for Steve enough that she comes to the basement and see what he's up to. As she's coming down the stairs, did you notice this random white bucket that was on the railing? I guess Steve has a leak problem in the basement. I don't know, but it was just there was a white bucket that was sitting on top of the railing as Laura is going down the stairs. Don't know what that's for.
No, they don't have Steve in a leaky basement.
I know.
Steve, poor Steve.
Or it's the body parts of his victims that are in there, Dahmer style.
Yeah, it's
Oh God, and the return of this Uncle Cecil. Is it Cecil or Cecil?
I think it's Cecil, but I'm pretty sure it's spelled Cecil. And the captions, it's spelled Cecil.
I was gonna say Cecil. Cecil sounds more fun. So this Uncle Cecil joke coming back, I love it. He had the opportunity to break from law enforcement that first time when he showed the photo of the judge tickling the bailiff with a rubber ducky, and he just fucked it up this time because I believe Laura was asking Steve like, oh, what about your Uncle Cecil? Isn't that what you were doing on Christmas? And Steve says like, oh, well, Uncle Cecil got arrested. And Laura was like, wait, what? Acting as if like she didn't hear the first time around that he almost got arrested. And Steve reveals that Uncle Cecil or Cecil got arrested for caroling around town drunk on eggnog and wearing nothing but a stocking cap.
Uncle Cecil, great job. Great job. Great job. You had a great Christmas. I'm not mad at you at all.
but he could have. I mean, he had his freedom, and then he just fucked it up because he decided, oh, let me let my dinger hang out in Chicago when it's snowing outside and cold as f while I'm drunk on eggnog. I mean, he was almost there.
Well, I mean, but was he, John? Was he almost there? Because the other option was spend Christmas with Steve.
Oh yeah. So that's its own form of jail time.
He had to figure out a way to have a plausible excuse for Steve not to come over.
Ah, he's escaping the misery of being with Steve Urkel by drinking and being naked in public.
Yep, with his little tallywhacker out.
And by the way, what a prune of a tallywhacker! Because can you imagine how cold it is in Chicago and snowy, and he's running around naked? That thing is a shriveled up plum by now.
I mean, when you're on eggnog, everything just is warm. You're just warm.
So the eggnog is what kept him very well heated. I see what you're saying. So Steve is so blown away when Laura feels bad enough to ask if he'd like to spend Christmas Eve at the Winslow house, as if he hasn't already been there 100 million times unsolicited. But the icing on the cake is where, once again, Urkel just faints because he just can't take it. Like, oh my God, not only this, but Laura is asking me to stay overnight? What the fuck? Horny freak.
Steve was very happy. He was like, this is my moment to plant all the tracking devices.
And then Steve gets a big laugh from the audience when he's on the ground and he exclaims to Laura, I've fallen and I cannot get up. Now, this is a phrase I've heard so many times and I never knew where it came from until today. Do you know where it came from?
All I know is the song I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up.
Okay, wait, who sings that?
I want to say that was like, no, it's not NWO. Maybe it was Ice Cube.
NWA, you mean?
No.
Wait. Are you mean? Do you mean NWA, the gangster rap group, or because you said NWO?
I have no idea what I'm saying.
Okay.
I
was like,
but all I know is I remember hearing the song "I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up," and then there's another line after it, and it would tell me who it is. Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because when you got the abbreviation off, I was like, wait a minute. Niggas without autos? Niggas with autos? Otters? Niggas with ottomans? No, it's the niggas with attitude.
Okay, officially dead.
Yeah. Niggas with Ozark? Niggas who love those show Ozark on Netflix?
No, I will watch that. If it was like niggas with those, I'd be like, oh, put that on. Let's right now. Put that on. I need to see it.
So, but do you know where the classic phrase comes from, other than that reference that you mentioned?
No.
I found out. So in the 90s, these life call commercials were pretty popular. So yeah,
not Life Alert.
It was called Life Call, but it's probably what you're thinking. So like the old person that's alone and they need emergency medical attention ASAP in the middle of the night. In those commercials, you always had the old lady who's off her wheelchair in the bathroom on the floor. I've fallen and I can't get up. Like I looked at one of those commercials on YouTube recently. That's where that phrase comes from.
I'm not laughing at older people falling and not being able to get up. The commercial is very funny, y'all. You need to go watch the commercial. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And there's an updated version of the commercial that played in the 90s with a woman, and she ends it saying, every senior citizen needs Life Alert. Watch the commercial. It is hilarious.
Yeah. Now, I wonder if you're talking about like a different version of the same thing, because this one is called Life Call.
Yeah,
but...
I'm talking about a different version, but Life Call and Life Alert are at the same company.
Okay, pretty. Yeah, and I know there was like another name of that was like the same purpose, but I can't remember what it was. It was more recent commercials. But anyway, any other thoughts about this scene?
No, because now I'm thinking about people on the floor.
Yeah. Look, I mean, if it happens to an old person that we know in real life, I'm sure it won't be funny. But like, just the thought of it, like, oh my God, I need to call some stranger on a phone to get me off of this floor.
I'm laughing because I know that's going to be me when I'm old. When I hit like old age, like when I hit like 115, I'm going to fall at one moment and I'm not going to be able to get up, and I'm going to laugh at whoever has to pick me up.
Yeah, you'll be a shriveled up prune on the floor trying to get up from your wheelchair, and you'll still be claiming that you're 21.
Oh no, I won't be shriveled when I'm old. I will not be in a wheelchair.
Okay.
I'm going to depart from this earth at 120 years old. So
Damn.
until I hit 120, I'm gonna be nice and spry with tight skin.
Jesus Christ. Are you Japanese? Because usually, like, it's the fucking Asians that can live that long.
I mean, I've had a lot of Japanese in me.
Oh, whoa. Well, there you go. There you go. What do they say when they bow their head and their with the hands together? Atsui Nagasaki, or what did they say? Konnichiwa, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa just means good afternoon.
Okay, okay. Well, no, but I'm sure they do like the head bow with the hands pressed together. Like I think no.
No, that's not a common practice that they do in Japan.
Ah,
It's not. The only thing close to kind of what you're thinking of is before eating, you say itadakimasu and then bow, and that just means thank you for the food, but not in like normal circumstances do you always do that.
now do you also do that like before like when you're about to fight someone in karate in like class? Like, don't you do the bow thing? Like, okay, we're about to respectfully duel each other.
They do the bow thing, and anybody who's watched a good martial arts tournament, uppercut them when they bow.
All right, there you go. All right, we go into the living room for what I think is our final scene. We are having the camera slowly pan across this darkened Winslow living room that's just bedazzled with Christmas shit. I mean, you have the tree, you have the stockings near the fireplace. It just looks beautiful. Steve is sleeping on the couch and he wakes up and is excited by the sight of presents because that meant that Santa came. But here's my question. Those presents were already there like a few days before Christmas, a few scenes ago, and Steve like entered the house just recently, like Christmas Eve, whatever. Like, wouldn't he have seen the presents already, like on his way in?
He totally would have seen the presents on his way in. So I was confused on, he says Santa's here when, I mean, Steve is incredibly intelligent and you saw these presents here, so you knew they were there.
Yeah, I guess he's just in this sort of blind belief. Like he just, I want to believe what is not true.
He wants to believe, he just wants to have that Christmas, what we call Wonderland feeling, where it's like, it's all here, people. Don't believe any of the mess.
There you go. I'm trying to not make an election joke, but let's move on. I want to believe something that's make believe. That's not true. I know it's not true, but I just want to believe that it's true.
I just want to believe all of it.
Yeah. All right. And I also thought if I was the owner of this house like Carl and Harriet, I would kick Steve out of my motherfucking house because this guy, he is loudly, like just the top of his lungs. Oh my God, dashing through the snow. Everybody, it's Christmas. Wake up. It's Christmas. Like as a kid, okay, maybe I can get with your energy, but I'm viewing this as a tired adult. I have the energy of Carl, Harriet, and Rachel. I would chuck him out the window.
So for me, I've never been that kid on Christmas to be like, it's 5 a.m, let's wake up. No, Christmas is my break. I'm not waking
Yeah.
up until noon. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So that would have driven me insane as a child. As an adult, I'd be like, Steve, we regret to inform you that you have to leave.
No, because and I'm right with you because like as tired, hardworking adults, we don't get a lot of time off. I mean, yes, as DoorDash drivers, you and I can technically take off time whenever we want, but we got bills to pay, so it's not like we can take that much time off. So Christmas being one of the few times that we can take off, as an adult, you tend to look at that as like, oh yes, let's sleep in. And my wife and I, we want to have children someday, and if we have those traditional kids that love to wake up early and open presents on Christmas morning, that is the part of dadism where I'm going to try to convey patience because, I'm still going to bed pretty late because of my work schedule. I like the fact of not waking up until maybe 9 or 10 in the morning sometimes. So please let me sleep or else you will die.
Very, very understandable. I think as parents, it's got to not be easy on Christmas Day. I think that's why the Folgers commercials are so big during Christmas time, because they're like, yeah, your kids are going to be incredibly happy, wake up super early. But you know what, as an adult, you need coffee just so you don't rip their faces.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, of course, you have like Judy and little Richie. They're coming down. They're eager to open their presents. They're excited to see that Santa has cleaned up. And then Carl, Harry, and Rachel, they're just like, oh, God, so tired. And then Carl does the ultimate dad thing because the stereotype about dads is that dads love to eat, fuck, and go to sleep. That's what they love to do. That's what we've been told that they love to do. So Harriet is just dreadfully telling Carl it's 5:30, and Carl, I'm with him. He's just like, okay, good night. I'm going back up.
That is me.
I think even for kids on Christmas morning, 5:30 is way too damn early. Like I would understand like 6, 7, 8-ish, but 5:30, like I don't know. I mean, are kids really waking up that fucking early for Christmas now?
Hey, if I'm trying to even think with my nephews and niece, like last Christmas, they weren't even out of bed until about 10 a.m. So I don't know. I've never been an early riser though. So maybe some people do that.
And honestly, 10 a.m. is fine. You know why? Because like we get so caught up in this whole like Christmas morning, we got to open up presents on Christmas morning that we almost think that Christmas morning is like, that's it. But it's not called Christmas morning on the calendar. It's called Christmas Day. So if you want to be unconventional and not open your presents until like 1 in the afternoon, that's fine. It's called Christmas Day. Sleep in, take your time. If you have kids, you probably don't have that choice. But if you don't have kids, do the college thing. Just sleep in and take your time with it.
Yeah, take your time and rest. I mean, I'm thinking about the Christmases that we experienced as kids. I never woke up until I smelled the food cooking because that means I can go to the kitchen and sneak food. Like that's all I would ever do. I didn't even care about the presents. I'm like, whatever to that. I want the food because I know there's going to be baked macaroni and cheese, and I'm going to go steal some of it.
There's nothing like a Black family Christmas dinner. I mean, Black family Thanksgiving dinner, great too, but also Thanksgiving, Christmas, Black families, if you're in the right kind, I hope, they know how to make a good holiday dinner.
They do. Like, I don't know. You guys tell us if you relate to this. I am not a big present person. I don't give presents. I don't like to receive presents. During the holidays, I want food. Like the food is what I am there for and the family, but the food is like the gift that I want.
Yeah. Maybe when I was a kid, I was all about the presents, which makes sense. But like they say in church, like as I get older, food and fellowship. Food and fellowship. I like the community of people around me, bonding, making jokes, telling stories. And I like my lasagna. I like my chicken wings. I like my mac and cheese. I like
just like a Black person. Just because it has noodles in it does not make it a side.
Now, keep in mind what I'm describing, like the foods I described. I didn't mean to describe it as like a dish, like a dish with like sides and whatnot. But it essentially, like you go to my family's house for the holidays, and it's just cheese and meat. Cheese and meat, no matter what it is, it's gonna be the main course, the sides. We don't care. Cheese and meat. That's all you're gonna get.
Yeah, my dad is very like vegan friendly, which I appreciate it. But during Christmas and like Thanksgiving, I tell him, I'm like, Dad, if there's one vegan dish, I'm fine. But we're Black people. I'm going to eat the pot of greens that has neck bones in it. I am going to go and bust down that macaroni and cheese. I'm going to eat the fried chicken with lasagna as the side, which still irritates me to this day because lasagna is not a side. It is a full meal.
It is, but the holidays, it doesn't matter, Andrew. I mean, it's just one plate could have rice, lasagna, wings, some kind of casserole, a big piece of turkey. We go all out, and then you pass out like an hour later, and it's the best thing ever. So there's that. Hey, what the fuck is happening with Mama Winslow suddenly being like the world's greatest trumpet player? Because Eddie and Laura, like they've come downstairs to excitedly open their presents, and then Mama Winslow comes in from the kitchen with her Winslow family cult robe on, and she has this shiny trumpet, and she's like, oh my God, Carl, thank you so much for bringing me this trumpet. And then she just plays it very well. It's like, wait, what? I mean, yes, I could believe that Rachel is a bad saxophone player, but where did Mama Winslow get this talented trumpet playing from?
She's got some talent. She's got some serious talent to come out the kitchen with that trumpet, especially with, I think, the fact that she has dentures. That had to be very hard to play if she was actually playing.
Are there dentures that specifically are for trumpet playing old people?
Hey, doubt it, but there probably could be. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. There could be, but you need your teeth to play the trumpet. So, I don't know.
What if Mama Winslow plays the trumpet one day and then she takes the trumpet away from her mouth and her dentures are attached to the trumpet accidentally?
Hilarious. I want to see that happen on the field like Drumline. I need it.
You need your Nick Cannon 2000s movie energy.
Minus the
Yeah, Nick Cannon. I get it. I mean, he's not the greatest person in the world.
It's not that his acting in the movie is so bad. Everybody else acts so much better than him in Drumline. It's just his acting is bad.
Yeah, he's great as like a television host or radio host. As a Nickelodeon personality, he was great. I don't think I've ever walked away from a Nick Cannon movie and thought like, oh my God, that is like Marlon Brando level type of acting. I've just thought, okay, here's Nick Cannon doing his Nick Cannon thing. And now I'm sure Christmas is a nightmare for him because he has like 56 children that he has to give presents to.
Yeah, and John, you just blew my mind. You said Nick Cannon movies. I thought there was only one.
No,
Oh
no, Love Don't Cost a Thing with Christina Milian, who he used to date back in the day. That's one. Drumline is the other. And then I'm drawing a blank. That's the only two movies I could think of. But I'm pretty sure there are more Nick Cannon movies that he's been in. But of course, they're not that memorable because Nick Cannon's just not a memorable movie actor. Judy is excited to get her new CD player, which I guess confused me because it was like, okay, so we first acknowledged that Judy wanted a CD player, and then Laura gets her CDs, which made it seem like Judy only wanted CDs, and now we're back to Judy wants a CD player, but no acknowledgement of the fact that she got a wonderful Willard Scott and Bryant Gumbel CD set.
I was waiting for her to open the CD package to see the CD because I wanted to know, is she going to be made to pretend like this is the CD she wanted? Or is it going to be like, oh, thanks a lot? Because that CD player was a cinder block that she had in her hand. So I was like, okay, we're about to get a fun moment here. And it didn't go anywhere.
Those CDs could also go into Eddie's life-sized boombox. Did you see how big that fucking thing was? Jesus. I was like, he's probably going to just leave that in his bedroom because, I mean, I know, the kind of stereotypical thing that you think is like, people in New York in the 80s on their street blocks, like having the boom box over their head, but that's big. That's a big boom box that Eddie has.
It was huge, but I was hoping he was going to put it on his shoulder and walk around the set. I would have been in heaven if he did that.
Because he would have no shoulder left after like 5 minutes of putting that on his shoulder because of how fucking big that thing is.
Back in the 80s, when people walked around with those big boom boxes, those were real men. They could lift that on their shoulder and get the radiation directly to their faces.
All right. Hey, I keep on forgetting the name of this jacket. So the black cowgirl jacket that Laura had, that is pretty much the black version of what Tyron Perry wore as Eddie's love interest in the party episode. You had a specific name for that kind of jacket. What is it called again?
It's Fringe.
Fringe. Fringe?
Yeah.
That's interesting that it's called that because like Fringe, I would think of Fringe either as like that television show, that drama on Fox. So Laura, how lucky is she that Steve is so obsessed with her that she can give him a wallet and this guy reacts as if he's gotten like $1 million. Did you remember his reaction? Like, oh my God, he got me a wallet.
I love that he was like, it's genuine. Oh, what was the word he used to describe the material?
I don't know. Leather, polyester.
I think he said it was genuine neoprene or something. Almost like, when you get a wallet, it says it's genuine leather. He was so excited about it. And I was like, oh, this is so funny. And then when he revealed he's going to tape it to his chest, I'm like, oh, this is the best.
Yeah, so his old wallet, like he's always had a wallet taped to his chest. So he like opens up his shirt to reveal that his now old wallet is taped to his chest because he's had many times where he's been shaken by bullies for milk money. So this time he's being cautious. And it was a funny visual for me because it literally looks like Steve has a bomb strapped to his chest.
It really does. It really did look like a bomb. Like when he lifted up his shirt, I was like, what?
Yeah. Like, okay, Black Timothy McVeigh, let's go. We're about to blow up the fucking Oklahoma City building again.
We are. And I was like, wait, so Steve sleeps with his wallet taped to him? What the hell are Herb and Diane doing?
Honestly, Steve is like a precursor to like all these fucking paranoid male rappers that we hear. You know, the ones that are like, motherfucker, I got a Glock in my lap, like right next to me while I sleep. I got my money on under my armpits. Like I'm ready to go. Like they're just always afraid that they're gonna lose their financial worth or their life. Like they're always looking over their fucking shoulder. Meanwhile, the female rappers are busy enjoying life and actually having fun. But yeah, that's kind Steve is basically 21 Savage. Like I have a Glock in my lap. I'm ready to go. So of course, what's the gift that Steve got Laura? The creepy talking Steve Urkel doll. And it's so funny because again, the physical comedy choices that Jaleel makes so specific, like just the eager way he's pulling on that string. Like, oh my god, he's got that big wide-eyed smile. Like, ooh, I'm gonna pull it again, and it's gonna say like an iconic catchphrase. And it says, let's see, did I do that? And then it also says the snort laugh. And then, I've fallen and I can't get up. Like that phrase as well as a callback to a previous scene. Would you want to have the Steve Urkel doll for Christmas?
No, and the reason why I would not want that Steve Urkel doll is because that was a baby doll in blackface. That Steve Urkel doll was awkwardly shaded, and I was like, did they just paint a white baby doll to be Steve?
Oh, I doubt
Add
it.
glasses to it. But in my own like Family Matters universe head, I was like, oh, this is Stevel part one. We got Stevel already because that doll looked creepy.
I that's to me at least that's a walk in the park compared to Stevel. Stevel gives me nightmares. I will never look forward to when we have to approach the Stevel episode. That will be the end of Family Matters for me. I will be done. I will walk away.
You were like me this Halloween season of things creeping me out. Spider decorations are on the rise for some reason, and I don't know why. That is why I hate Halloween this much. So I get it. Stevel, the real doll, would turn me off to scary things immediately.
Yeah, yeah. So Rachel is coming over to Richie by the Christmas tree to see if he likes his new bike. And this is when I'm seeing that, like, wow, Richie slash Brian McClure has a really full head of Jerry curl. Like, just the hair is just there.
That hair is Jerry curling. It is just, it's there. He's got an A1 Jerry curl. Excuse me. And Richie stole this scene for me. He stole this scene because one, he's happy it's Christmas and all that. His blue like pajama outfit, this like argyle sweater thing, I was like, that is the cutest freaking set of pajamas ever. And then I don't know if you noticed it, in front of Richie, while Rachel is talking to him, there's a Charlie the Tuna toy standing like right in front of him, and his color scheme matches this toy perfectly.
I never even heard of the Charlie the Tuna toy, nor did I see it in the episode there.
It's so weird. If you get a chance to go back and watch it, it's like center right in front of where Richie is. And I was trying to figure out whose Charlie the Tuna toy is this? Because it's just there. And I'm like, what is this toy doing here? But then I was like, maybe it's Richie's because they're wearing the same color. And maybe somebody bought him a Charlie the Tuna toy.
Right. Wow. Well, I gotta take a second look because I didn't notice that the first time around. We do get our maybe Santa is real moment when Richie is talking about the Freddy Teddy toy that he really wants, and I think he acknowledges that he got it, and Rachel's just like, "Who got you the Freddy Teddy toy?" And literally everybody else, Carl, Harriet, Eddie, Laura, nobody, Steve, they all don't know where it came from. They all say that they never gave it to Richie. So Eddie is just like, oh, no, this is not real. No, Santa's not real. This cannot be happening. And Steve seeks to prove it to him and Laura by having them open the unnecessarily large envelope that contains what's supposed to be his Christmas list. I was like, okay, you're already wasting postage money as it is, but you're wasting postage money on that kind of an envelope that should have like classified documents from the White House, not some kid's Christmas list.
It was a very officially envelope where I'm like, what did he send?
I don't know. Herb and Diane just threw whatever money and before they left for Hawaii, and Steve was like, oh, I know. Let me spend it on this envelope that I will mail to the house next door. Oh, God. And my junk food. my junk food is happening because literally from this point out, I am not loving the episode. I don't like how it ends, to be honest with you. So this Christmas list that I thought was going to be a Christmas list, it turns out it's a letter that Steve wrote to Santa asking that he spend his Christmas with the Winslows. And, by happenstance, it happens because Santa made it happen. And then fucking Rachel, I mean, Thelma Hopkins, great singer. Obviously, this is a great excuse to show off her singing skills, but suddenly she's like, Eddie's boombox. It wasn't even on in the first place, but suddenly I hear the instrumental of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. So I'm going to sing along with it beautifully again. But like, what did you think about this moment? Were you buying that this Christmas list of Steve's turns into a letter to Santa about something that came true magically, even though like, no, it's almost like the whole religious thing that some people have of like, this thing happened because God made it happen. It's like, no, this thing happened because you were dumb and you got into a car accident. Like that's how it happened. But what are your thoughts?
Well, the fact that nobody is concerned that somebody entered their house and left an undefined object in the middle of the room, and nobody is concerned about the break-in that occurred while everybody was asleep is a problem for me.
Wait, what's the undefined object you're talking about?
Freddy Teddy. How the fuck did this dog get in here? We're not going to say, oh, it was Santa. No, Carl, you're a cop. That's called breaking and entering. That's in here. And honestly, for me, I'm with you. Everything after Richie's line about Freddy Teddy is junk food to me. I didn't like it at all. It was so weird when Thelma Hopkins just starts singing. Like, I'm like, your voice is beautiful. This is great. But I'm just like, what? How did we get here? How are we singing a song now? And then we got Steve in this random letter. And I'm just like, y'all didn't think this ending through.
Yeah, seriously. like David and Rich, like, you guys are great writers and directors, blah, blah, blah. But it was just like, no. Laura, I think on her own volition, felt bad for treating Steve the way she did and invited him over. And let's just take it at face value. That's what led Steve to spend time with the Winslows. To just say that, like, oh, Santa just kind of put some magic Crisco in your juice and made you kind to me and made you experience all this guilt so you can invite me over for Christmas. It's like, it was just really dumb shit. And then, of course, you have the family joining into Rachel's caroling, which, I mean, look, they don't sound that bad as a family singing together. But did you like this over the rapping that they did in the season 1 finale? You think this is worse?
No. The rapping I love so much more. If we were to put side by side, the rapping is an A1 song. This, I was not a fan of. I was like, this is so weird. This is so weird because no family does this.
Yeah. Just like the emotional whiplash, I just think that this junk foodie way that they wrap things up, it seemed like it was David's way of being like, oh, I don't know, how can I wrap it up in a sweet, sentimental, Christmas-like way, even though it has nothing to do with the story at hand? Like, it just seemed like he was just putting in a bunch of different ideas and trying to make it a cohesive thing. And this, it was just forced sitcom holiday nonsense that just didn't make much sense to me. Now, Carl, I like Carl's Louis Armstrong reference. Remember when he grabbed the trumpet from Mama Winslow and he pretends to play it and then he pretends to wipe his forehead with the handkerchief, because Louis Armstrong did that same thing a lot when he was playing trumpet. If it wasn't for this junk food, I would really appreciate that reference a lot more, especially given that Louis Armstrong was the original singer of the original Family Matters theme song, A Wonderful World. The junk food ruined it.
The junk food ruined it because, like you, I was like, oh, this could have been a great callback to episode 1. Season 1, like, instead of us getting this random generic Christmas-y music that's playing in the background, we could have got What a Wonderful World. It could have been such a cool way to say, like, okay, Urkel is a part of this family now. Like, we could have got like a good to the episode, and we didn't get that.
Yeah, but I know you like montages. This is how we end the scene. This is how we end the episode. We end it with a montage of like the family enjoying their Christmas morning, people giving gifts to each other, being happy. And then we have some sentimental Christmas instrumental playing What did you think about the montage?
You know I love montages. You know I love a montage. This is the first montage that I don't love.
Because it was it because of just the bad taste in your mouth from the previous scene?
The problem that I have is that the montage is the same montage that's used in the ending credits of the episode.
Yes, I know. I wrote that too. I was like, wait, why are we repeating this in the end credits? Did we just again? David did not think this through. Not only was he just putting many different ideas, but this motherfucker, like at the last minute, found out, oh shit, like we're like a minute or two short. Okay, let's just repeat the montage. Like, I almost want to watch the whole thing through, but I was like, no, I think we're just lazy, and we decided to fill the last minute with a repeat of what we just saw.
Yeah, like the montage again, y'all. I love a good montage. I love montages. Give me a good montage, but it needs to be placed properly. So
Yeah.
if we're gonna do a montage, let's break down scene 6. If we're gonna do a montage, the montage for scene 6 should have started after Steve got everybody in the living room and they started opening their presents. And then the montage should have ended with Laura and Steve exchanging their gifts, having a conversation, and then you break out into Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas and ending credits roll. That would have been the perfect place. But then I'm like, y'all just were like, oh, it's Christmas. We got to throw something in. Just throw it in.
I counted the montage as scene 7. Would it be fair to count it as scene 7, or should it be a part of scene 6?
I would call it scene 7 because it does have a fade out into the montage. So technically it could be another scene, and then the rolling credits could be a part of that scene.
I don't know. Anyway, I think Carl got Harriet a gold watch in that montage, so that there was something, and like, damn, Carl got quite a Christmas bonus there. And then so the first time of the 2 times that we see this montage, and keep in mind that, like, I think if we had this montage like at the beginning of the episode and then it played again at the end of the episode, I probably wouldn't mind it so much. But the fact that it was back to back, I was like, are we okay here, guys? Like, what are we doing? The first of the 2 times is when we see like the family bonding together on the couch with a Christmas themed train set in front of them, and then the camera zooms, like, I think it zooms out. Yeah, the camera zooms out to fit this entire scene into a Christmas card that reads "Merry Christmas from our family to yours." Now, for all I know, in the end credits repeat montage, they could have done the same fucking exact thing at the end. I didn't watch it through because I just was like, motherfucker, I'm tired off of 4 hours of sleep. I don't want to see a montage I just saw already 2 seconds ago. So there you go. That's the end of the episode. We saw a montage twice, back to back.
We saw a montage twice, back to back. They didn't give us any additional montage scenes in the rolling credits. Yeah. We could have done bloopers. We could have panned out to the audience, all kinds of things. Oh, I was so mad. That is such a waste of a montage.
I would have honestly appreciated if they did like a montage. The end credits montage, it could have been much what it was like when Steve was about to wake up Christmas morning. There's just something about seeing an empty living room, and by empty, I mean no people in it, but it's like well decorated with Christmas stuff. Like the lights are down, maybe there's like some candlelight or whatever, but just maybe like the way the camera was panning to see like the stocking stuffers near the fireplace, the camera slowly kind of panning around the beauty of the tree. I think if we just had either that empty, well-decorated Winslow living room, or maybe, God, you guys are so good at creating this fake snow exterior scene, having that, like having a camera roam around the streets of Chicago as it's all beautifully snowed and decorated with decorations, something like that. Don't repeat a montage that we already saw. Like, that killed it.
It killed it for me. The only thing I am going to say, the one successful thing in this montage, and this is very personal to me, is that I learned I had been spelling Harriet's name wrong this entire time.
Oh, I thought when I see those typos on the social media clips, I just thought like, oh, whatever. It's just Andrew's usual typos. But did you think it was like Harriet the whole time?
Yep. I thought her name was spelled that way the entire time. So now I know that that is not how you spell Harriet Winslow.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I think it's a TTE at the end, right?
It is.
Yeah,
TTE is how it ends.
Harriet. Just call her Harriet for a few days, and then you'll probably get the spelling down.
It'll stick in. It'll stick right inside where I'm like, that's how you spell Harriet. Damn.
Stick right inside like a cold rock in a stocking stuffer.
You know, hey, if you deserve coal, and there should have been coal in a couple of those stockings.
There you go. All right, we're done with this episode. What is your delicious star rating?
So my delicious star rating for this episode is 0.
Oh God.
This is definitely a 0 for me. Now, I waited to the end to give this because the same way I don't like dream sequence episodes, holiday episodes kind of fall into that same category for me. Now, the difference is a dream sequence episode for me, I don't think it can be good. I don't think there's a way to make it where it's something that I like because it's such an offshoot of the reality of the show.
Right.
With holiday episodes, you either nail it or you don't. Like, there's like not really a halfway to get the holiday spirit and everything that can happen in a holiday. And I don't feel that they nailed it in this. I feel like we were left with a very surface level story with made up conflict that didn't need to be conflict. And we could have had so much more fun with the Winslows individually and together in this episode. Now, we've got my desserts like Lil Richie. This was his episode. And I'm saying that as a stand for Richie. But honestly, for me, he had some of the best moments in the episode. Like the line about August was a good month for me. I screamed because that was so good for a child to deliver that line. And the comedy for that was so well written. But everything else in the episode just felt contrived for me, where it was just like, okay, we've got to like make sure everything has a Christmas tone to it. It's almost like that one person you meet who puts candy canes on every fucking thing, like their doorknobs, their light fixtures, all this shit. It's like, no, you don't need all of that. We had a good gist here of what we can make a story, but we went completely left field. And then the other thing that really bothers me, well, 2 other things that really bothered me. The fact that we had people going in and out of the house and snow was not animated on them at all. Like that is just a very big continuity area for me. And then what really brought it down to a 0 was the montage. Like I'm just like, really? Of all things that you could fuck up in a Christmas episode, a montage?
No. Wait. So is the montage alone what you don't like, or is it the fact that they repeated the montage?
The montage itself, I don't like. The repeating of the montage made me doubly not like it.
So what about the montage alone did you not like? Because I thought the montage alone was fine. I think it was fairly sweet. For me, it's more just about the repetition. The repetition for me is what lost the meaning of the montage.
The fact that the montage itself doesn't really give us that one montagey feel of opening all of the presents. There were still so many things that were unopened. There were so many moments where we could have had everybody ends in the final part of the montage with the coffee cup in their hand. Why didn't we have Harriet coming around with the family with little mugs and stuff like this? Like we had these moments in the montage that don't connect together. Like it's just clip, clip, clip. And a montage is not just clip, clip, clip. Everything has to relate in the montage, and that does not happen.
Interesting how you say that. I mean, I sensed that there was joy amongst the family members. I mean, Rachel and Richie, I think Rachel was seeing Richie open presents. There was the moment where Carl and Harriet, they had their moment where Carl gave Harriet the gold watch, and she was appreciative of that. Carl gave Eddie a kiss on the forehead when Eddie got whatever the fuck gift he got from Carl. Steve and Laura opened the presents that they gave to each other. They seemed pleased about that. So I think, at least to me, I mean, it seemed like, oh yeah, everybody's reasonably enjoying and bonding together with the gift opening. Could it have been more? Could there have been more upbeat or energiness into it? Sure. But I don't know. At least I was sold that people were enjoying their Christmas together.
I'm a montage snob, and I don't believe any of it. I really just next time y'all give me a montage, make it fun.
Okay.
Play Some Like It Hot. Some Like It Hot in a montage.
Oh.
Sold.
More truffle butter?
What?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
The Nicki Minaj song? Oh
I
no.
yeah, because like the Lindt Holt chocolate truffle bags, truffle butter, the truffle bags of chocolate that you see at CVS. Those are technically truffle butter, right?
You know, I still don't know what a truffle is when there's not the mushroom in it. So I'm gonna say yes.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
gonna give it a yes. I'm gonna give it a yes. But next time, play Some Like It Hot. Give us Some Like It Hot. If I get that in one of these seasons for the Family Matters, I'm going to scream because it's one of my favorite songs for a montage. And you could have hold exchange this up.
And they just well, you know what? Luckily, I'm sure they're going to have like 8 more Christmas episodes throughout the course of the 9 years of this show. So I think they'll have many more opportunities to get it right. I will give this a 1.5. I thought that there were fun moments from Urkel. Yes, I will say a little Richie. That August line was a good line, so that was a good moment for him. Mama Winslow, both comforting and just the great lines that she had about the guy that she was dating, and then his battery was dead in the bedroom, and then the other line about if what's his name, Mushman was cute and single. So Mama Winslow had some good moments there. The elder lady at the department store, I mean, she just had this great mixture of just complete over the top grandmother, childlike Christmas glee, and then this Black Friday menacing anger. Give me my fucking teddy bear. Like that actress, Ellen Albertini Doe or Dow, whatever the fuck her name is. Great. She sold me on that. There's no surprise that she has had as long a career as she had. But what brought it down to a 1.5 for me is the emotional whiplash that I got that we mentioned. Just that abrupt turn from Steve being excited about creating the Christmas list to just Laura scolding him for tripping over the Christmas tree accidentally and breaking her favorite ornament, and then saying, "Yeah, I will never want to see you again." Like, just it was it was too much. I just was not ready for that. And going back to the junk food that I mentioned, just the way they wrapped up that whole Christmas list thing that really wasn't a Christmas list. It was just a stupid letter that Steve wrote to Santa to get him to spend time with the Winslows, and then voila, like it just no, wasn't sold. So I think if we didn't have those couple moments, maybe it would have been a 2, but it's a 1.5. It's an okay episode. Isn't an episode that I would recommend to anybody or have anybody watch again or have me watch again. Not really. I think it's a one and done kind of thing. So that's my thoughts.
I get that. Everybody watch the Rick and Morty Christmas episodes or, oh, American Dad. Those are some really good Christmas episodes if you need like a cleanse from this one.
Okay. There you go. All right. You, Delishi, you know how to find us. Hopefully you do. If you don't, then if you're a first timer, here's a great time to listen in. So the Delicious Recap, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Literally just search the Delicious Recap. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, we're all there. If you have questions, comments, concerns, feedback, like our super fan Adam, who literally emails us every time we release an episode recap. Thank you, Adam. We appreciate your fandom. The Delicious Recap at gmail.com. And we are on way too many socials to count. Instagram, Threads, Reddit, TikTok, Facebook. I'm sure I forgot something. YouTube. Search the Delicious Recap. Find that picture of Steve Urkel, the Living Single Cast, the Fresh Prince, Cream Savers, Dunkaroos, that fabulous design that Andrew made. You'll find us. We're there. Search the Delicious Recap on all your socials. Follow us. We would love it. Please subscribe to our Patreon. Patreon.com/Delicious Recap. Patreon.com/Delicious Recap. For $5 a month, you get early access to episode recaps like these, and also special interviews that we have from time to time. You know, we interview guest stars from Family Matters episodes. I mean, I think coming up this Monday, as we're recording this right now, Monday, November 4th, I and you, Andrew, will be speaking with a couple of guest stars from the Pool Hustler episode that we recently recapped. So that will be fun. And, we also talk to people like the Splat Attack podcast, the History of the 90s podcast. I mean, people that just love the 90s and love reminiscing with us. We love to talk to them. So early access to content like that, patreon.com/Delicious Recap. And to borrow your thing, Andrew, really, we could let you guys know to follow us on social media, blah, blah, blah. But the best way to get the word out there is word of mouth. Like if you have a friend or a family member or a spouse, a significant other in your life that also loves Family Matters, let them know about this show. Like recommend it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that are close in your life, and you will be doing the Lord's work, I think.
You will. You're going to do it better than a Jehovah's Witness because we're not passing out flyers with people on fire. We're just saying, listen to us. So if you know somebody who likes to listen to anything that has to do with the 90s, to a podcast, somebody who just wants to listen to two Black people have a good ass time on microphones, recommend our podcast to them.
Our next episode, Ice Station Winslow, first episode of 1991.
Ooh.
Air date is January 4th, 1991. My brother's birthday, but he wouldn't be born until like 11 years later, but still. So there you go. That is our next episode. We hope you'll join us for that. Andrew, do you mind signing us off in a way that I guess encapsulates the variety of feelings that we've displayed on this recap?
Just like a gingerbread cookie, how you have gumdrops, gingerbread, icing, and sometimes chocolate in them. This was a amalgamation of deliciousness that I'm not sure I want to swallow, but I am going to choke it down with some water because it was still pretty fun.